Chapter 808. In the end, the experts of the Luo clan left one after another. A few days later, a drizzle suddenly fell around the huge pit. The rain only lasted for a short while. Then the sky became clear again. Light flashed in the pit and a person appeared. It was Ning Fan, who had just come out from the profound Yin world. There were still some cyan rain intent flashing in his eyes. The rain he saw just now was the ability he used to observe the outside world in the profound Yin world. In the past, he could not use the rain technique to observe the outside world in the profound Yin world. However, now that he had opened the first door of the heavenly being realm, his comprehension of the heaven-peering rain technique had greatly improved. Even if he was separated by the barrier of the medium-sized world, he could still observe the outside world with the rain technique. Even though the golden light on the ground is too loud and eye-catching, it might be one of the shortcomings of this technique. However, the speed of this technique is fast enough to make up for any shortcomings. Even though I can use the ghost face to suppress the golden flames and use this technique, I can't use it as I please. I'm afraid I still need some time to cultivate this technique, to prevent it from going out of control. Of course, I need to polish this technique carefully. However, the most important thing now is to go to the Luo clan and officially become their guest elder. Then, I will obtain the complete incantation of the first transformation of the war god transformation and cultivate it successfully. Only the guest elder who has cultivated the first transformation of the war god transformation is qualified to participate in the competition for the 8 tomb guardians of the Luo clan. If I have the identity of a tomb guardian, I can enter the divine tomb with the void token and obtain the other half of Great Emperor Luan Gu's inheritance. To me, cultivating the war god transformation and participating in the tomb competition are not as important as obtaining the other half of Great Emperor Luan Gu's inheritance. Ning Fan reached out his palm. With a thought, a jade locket that was as smooth as jade immediately appeared in his hand. This jade locket was the Yin Yang locket that had accompanied him for a long time. It had once changed his destiny. In this eastern sea star region, the Yin Yang locket gave off a faint light as if it was summoned by something. It was as if it was originally incomplete and lacked the other half to make up for it. It was as if the other half was in this eastern sea star region. The profound Yin world can increase the cultivation speed of Yin Yang transformation cultivators, but there is a flaw. Other than the master of the profound Yin world, no other living beings can freely enter and exit this world. I used to think that the profound Yin world has always been like this. However, after I opened the first gate of heaven and man and saw the laws of Tao, I could clearly see that the laws of the profound Yin world are incomplete and incomplete. This is the real reason why living beings from the outside world can't appear in the profound Yin world. Perhaps after I obtain the other half of the inheritance of the ancient Chaos Great Emperor, I might be able to complete this incomplete world law. Ning Fan was silent for a moment. Then he opened his mouth and swallowed the Yin Yang locket back into his body, storing it in his dantian. With a tap of his foot, he soared into the sky and turned into a rainbow, flying toward the broken halberd peak where the Luo family was located. From a distance, planet Heavenly Ocean looked like a blue planet. The only continent on the planet was not blue, but blood red. Continuous blood-colored mountains stood towering on that area, and the mountains were connected and precipitous. In this blood-colored mountain range, there were 3 blood-colored mountains which were the tallest. They were called the Broken Halberd Peak. It was said that the entire blood-colored mountain range where the Broken Halberd Peak was located was actually transformed from a broken halberd magic treasure. That was a legend that had existed for a long time. At that time, the 4 heavens and 9 worlds had just separated from each other. The first realm war between the cultivators of the 4 heavens and the land of demon spirits had just begun. In that war between the 2 worlds, the ancestor of the divine void realm wielded a long halberd and killed several demon sovereigns at the same level as him. As for the long halberd, it was also destroyed in that war. The ancestor of the divine void realm brought it back to the eastern heaven and left it in the heavenly ocean star, turning it into the Broken Halberd Peak. Countless years had passed since the day the ancestor of the divine void realm left the divine weapon. The Broken Halberd Peak was still filled with murderous battle intent, and its Tao rhyme never dissipated. The Luo family was built at the foot of the Broken Halberd Peak. Most of the cultivators in the family built their own cave dwellings in the blood-colored mountains, borrowing the battle intent of the broken halberd peak to cultivate. When Ning Fan arrived at the Luo family, what he saw were 3 blood-colored mountains that pierced through the clouds. They were like the tip of a gigantic trident that pierced through the clouds. What he felt was the desolate battle intent that spread out from the broken halberd peak. Is this the broken halberd peak? The Tao laws of this place are so strong. These laws should be the rules of war, right? Ning Fan's eyes glowed with green light. He scanned the broken halberd peak with his spirit sense. He could vaguely detect the cave dwellings of many cultivators on the peak. At the foot of the broken halberd peak was a massive cultivation city named Violet Silk City. It was the place where the Luo family resided. Usually, outsiders would not be allowed to enter this city easily. There was a group of cultivators of the Luo family patrolling outside the Violet Silk City. As soon as the patrolling cultivators saw Ning Fan arriving outside the Luo family's residence, they sensed his faint aura of the second step. Without any hesitation, they immediately welcomed him. There were a total of 6 cultivators in this group. All of them were at the Void Fragmentation realm. The leader of the group was an old man who wore battle armor and had 9 broken bones. The 6 of them landed beside Ning Fan at the same time. They cupped their fists and bowed respectfully. As for the old man with 9 broken bones, he forced a smile and took the initiative to ask, "Senior, may I know why you have come to Violet Silk City? Are you here to buy battle crystals? Or are you here to visit a friend?" Normally, outsiders who would come to Violet Silk City were either here to buy battle crystals or to look for a friend. Ning Fan had expected the old man to ask such a question. "I have come here for this matter." Ning Fan bent his palm and waved it. Immediately, a ball of scarlet flames appeared under his palm and slowly condensed into a jade slip of battle intent. This jade slip was given to him by Luo Xiao. It recorded part of the war god secret art. This jade slip was a test as well as a keepsake. This is a jade slip of battle intent. May I know which senior of our clan has this jade slip of battle intent? As soon as they saw the jade slip, they immediately knew that Ning Fan had come for the matter of becoming a foreign elder of the Luo family. Thus, they did not dare to show any neglect and asked him respectfully, "Luo Xiao." Ning Fan said indifferently. As soon as they heard the 2 words Luo Xiao, the expressions of the patrolling cultivators changed again. The way they looked at Ning Fan became even more respectful. As for the old man with 9 broken bones, he sent a message transmitting flying sword in the direction of Violet Silk City. He seemed to be reporting Ning Fan's arrival to the experts of his clan. After 10 breaths, a hearty laughter came from the direction of Violet Silk City. "Fellow Taoist Ning, you've finally come. In order to wait for your arrival, I have stayed in the Heavenly Sea Star for 3 whole years and did not go on any missions. I was afraid that I would miss our reunion." As soon as the laughter stopped, the figure of a scholar in black robes flashed and appeared in front of everyone. It was Luo Xiao. "Your subordinates greet Lord Commander." As soon as the patrolling cultivators saw Luo Xiao, they bowed to him one after another. Each of their expressions was extremely respectful. "You may dispense with the formalities. You may leave. This fellow Taoist was recommended by me. I will personally bring him to Violet Silk City. You don't need to follow him. You may continue to patrol this place." Luo Xiao gently waved his hand and dismissed the 6 patrolling cultivators. When he looked at Ning Fan again, his eyes widened in surprise. Then he said with a meaningful smile, "After 3 years, fellow Taoist Qi seems to have become much stronger. During these 3 years, fellow Taoist's cultivation base has also improved a lot, hasn't it? I'm afraid you have already broken through the bottleneck of the late Ghost Profound Realm by 70%. You are already very close to breaking through completely." Ning Fan answered with a smile. "Oh, fellow Taoist Ning really has a good eye. Even the old ancestors of the clan can't see my exact cultivation progress. However, fellow Taoist can actually tell that I have already broken through the bottleneck of 70% with just a glance." Luo Xiao's eyes flashed. He could not help but attach more importance to Ning Fan. After exchanging some pleasantries with Ning Fan, he led him into Violet Silk City. At the center of the city, there were a total of 5 palaces that shone with golden light. In each of the palaces, there was a member of the Luo clan who was cultivating in seclusion. These 5 members were the strongest members of the Luo clan other than the clan leader. Together with the clan leader, they were known as the 6 ancestors of the Luo clan, by the cultivators of the clan. Behind the 5 palaces, there was another palace that shone with purple light. It was the cultivation place of the clan leader of the Luo clan. The clan leader of the Luo clan, Luo, was the 9th elder of the godly void pavilion. In order to repair the heaven-suppressing bell, he was busy day and night. Therefore he was not in the clan. Currently, all the mundane affairs of the Luo clan had been temporarily handed over to the 6th ancestor, whose cultivation base was slightly lower among the 6 old ancestors of the clan. As for the remaining few ancestors, unless the clan holds an important meeting or something major happens in the clan, they would basically stay in seclusion for long periods of time. Currently, the clan leader of our clan is not in the clan. Fellow Taoist needs to get the approval of the 6th ancestor to become a foreign elder of our Luo clan. As for the foreign elder token of the Luo clan, and the complete cultivation method of the first transformation of the war god art, they also need to be personally handed over to you by the 6th ancestor. The place we are going to now is the extreme cold palace where the 6th ancestor lives. Luo Xiao explained to Ning Fan while leading him to one of the 5 golden light palaces in the city. Along the way, many members of the Luo clan witnessed the scene of Luo Xiao and Ning Fan walking together. These members of the Luo clan did not know Ning Fan, but none of them did not know Luo Xiao. After seeing the direction in which Luo Xiao and Ning Fan were heading, many of them exclaimed inwardly. 3 years ago, Commander Luo Xiao had recommended a person to the 6th ancestor. He said that this person has the aptitude to cultivate the war god art which can only be found once in 10,000 years. He is suitable to be a foreign elder of our clan. Could it be that the person the commander mentioned is that white-robed cultivator? Many experts of the Luo clan spread their spirit sense at the same time and scanned Ning Fan. Among these experts, there was no lack of life immortal realm cultivators and true immortal realm cultivators of the crossing truth realm. In their perception, other than having a mid-ghost profound realm cultivation base, Ning Fan could not see through anything else about him. Since they could not see through him, naturally, they could not find out what exactly was so special about Ning Fan that made Luo Xiao hold him in such high esteem. However, these experts of the Luo clan could still sense one thing. Ning Fan did not have any of the 5 types of battle intent physiques which were most suitable to cultivate the war god art. Isn't he the possessor of the battle intent physique? From the looks of it, Luo Xiao's claim that this person is a cultivator of the war god art that can only be found once in 10,000 years might just be an exaggeration. Many experts of the Luo clan retracted their spirit sense and thought to themselves, Ning Fan did not care about the probing of the experts of the Luo clan. With the strength of his ghost mask, unless he is willing to, no cultivator in this place would be able to see through him except for the chi of his cultivation base that he deliberately emitted. He followed Luo Xiao all the way to the extreme cold palace and stopped outside the palace. The outside of the extreme cold palace was filled with ancient formations that emitted dense cold chi. Even though they were separated by layers of formations, Ning Fan could still vaguely sense that there was an early shedding void realm chi inside the palace. It was faintly discernible, as if it existed or not. When they arrived at this place, Luo Xiao stopped and took out a sound-transmitting spiritual talisman. He said something to the talisman with an extremely respectful tone. A few breaths later, the formation light of the extreme cold palace suddenly made way for them. Then an indifferent voice came from the extreme cold palace. Luo Xiao, stay outside the palace. Let the person you recommend come to see me alone. Yes. Luo Xiao cupped his fists at the direction of the extreme cold palace. Then he said to Ning Fan, the 6th ancestor is inside the extreme cold palace. Fellow Taoists can enter by yourself and meet the 6th ancestor. Ning Fan answered indifferently. Then he stepped into the extreme cold palace with a slightly vigilant heart. Until now, he still had not figured out whether the black-robed old man who tried to assassinate him that day was sent by the Luo clan or not. Thus, he naturally needed to be more vigilant against the Luo clan. The interior of the extreme cold palace was filled with a cold intent divine ability, causing the walls and the ceiling to be covered with ice. After passing through the long passage, what entered his sight was a world of ice that was filled with wind and snow. The extreme cold palace itself was a small Kiliacosm cosmos treasure. This world of ice was also the internal world of the extreme cold palace, the extreme cold world. In the sky of this world of ice, an old man in blue robes was sitting cross-legged. His eyes were tightly shut as if he was meditating. He was the sixth ancestor of the Luo clan, an early shedding void realm cultivator. Even after Ning Fan entered, the sixth ancestor of the Luo clan still did not open his eyes. You are the person that Luo Xiao recommended? You actually don't possess any of the 5 types of battle intent physiques. What a pity. I was really looking forward to your arrival. The tone of the sixth ancestor of the Luo clan carried a hint of disappointment. However, his cultivation base was profound after all. After a while, he regained his composure and continued. However, the fact that you could defeat Luo Xiao, who was in his second transformation state, with just your mid-ghost profound realm cultivation base, is enough to prove that you're extraordinary. It's enough for you to be a foreign elder of my Luo clan. This is the foreign elder token and the first level of the war god art. Take it. As soon as he finished speaking, the sixth ancestor of the Luo clan suddenly flicked his sleeve. The wind and snow in this world suddenly condensed into a ball, and condensed into a jade slip that was filled with cold chi. Then he raised his hand and took out a red copper token. With a flick of his finger, he passed the token and the jade slip to Ning Fan. Ning Fan waved his hand and received the token, and the jade slip that fell from the sky. After briefly scanning through them, his brows slightly furrowed, but he did not say anything. From the beginning to the end, the sixth ancestor of the Luo clan had never opened his eyes. It was enough to tell that he did not attach much importance to Ning Fan. After all, there were 5 types of battle intent physiques in this world which were suitable to cultivate the war god art. Ning Fan was not one of them. Most of the cultivators in the Luo clan thought that only those who possessed the battle intent physique could attain the 4th transformation of the war god and save the war king Luo Ho. Only Luo Xiao and a few cultivators of the Luo clan firmly believed that even those who did not possess the battle intent physique could attain the 4th transformation of the war god. They believed that the key to attaining the 4th transformation of the war god was the powerful combat strength and battle intent that could allow one to fight those with a higher cultivation base. Luo Xiao had already told Ning Fan about all of this. Ning Fan was naturally mentally prepared for the Luo clan's lack of attention. It was fine if the Luo clan did not attach any importance to him now. When he successfully cultivates the high-level cultivation method of the war god transformation, there would naturally be people who would attach importance to him. After seeing Ning Fan keep the jade slip, the sixth ancestor of the Luo clan nodded slightly and said, "Before you, there were already 122 foreign elders of the Luo clan. You are the 123rd. I believe Luo Xiao has already told you the reason why our Luo clan needs to recruit foreign elders to cultivate the war god transformation. I won't repeat it anymore. The foreign elders of the Luo clan can cultivate on their own outside the Heavenly Sea Star, or on the 3 Broken Halberd Mountains. With the foreign elder token, you can enter and leave the Violet Silk City freely. According to your progress in cultivating the war god transformation, our Luo clan will provide you with a certain amount of battle crystals to aid your cultivation. If you need more battle crystals, you will have to buy them on your own. If you have successfully cultivated the 1st transformation of the battle art one day, you can come to me again to obtain the cultivation method of the 2nd transformation. Unfortunately, you don't have the battle intent physique. The day when you successfully cultivate the 1st transformation of the battle art is still far away. If you have any more questions, you can go and ask your referral Luo Xiao. Alright, you can leave now." As soon as he finished speaking, the 6th ancestor of the Luo clan stopped talking. His body gradually faded in the sky as if he had vanished into nothingness. Ning Fan no longer stayed in this place. He walked towards the outside of the extreme cold palace with his eyes changing unpredictably. This 6th ancestor of the Luo clan is cold and distant towards me. Even though he doesn't seem to attach any importance to me, he doesn't seem to have any hostility towards me either. In that case, the possibility of the black-robed old man who tried to assassinate me that day being a cultivator of the Luo clan isn't high. However, I wonder which force sent this person. Outside the Extreme Frost Palace, Luo Xiao had been waiting for a long time. When he saw Ning Fan coming out with the foreign elder token, he immediately cupped his fists and said with a smile, "Congratulations on becoming the foreign elder of my Luo clan, fellow Taoist. I wonder how is the sixth ancestor's attitude towards you? Does he value you? Can I be given a life-saving jade scroll as a reward?" Ning Fan smiled faintly and shook his head. Seeing this, Luo Xiao immediately showed a bitter expression and apologized. "I'm sorry, Brother Ning. In my opinion, you're definitely a rare combat art prodigy that only appears once every 10,000 years. It's a pity that the others in the clan don't think so." Before Ning Fan, the Luo clan had recruited a total of 122 foreign elders. Among them, there were a few who possessed combat bodies. All of them were highly valued by the Luo clan, and were given many opportunities. Ning Fan, whom Luo Xiao had placed high hopes on, did not receive such a high level of attention. This made Luo Xiao sigh with emotion. At the same time, he also felt a little guilty towards Ning Fan. After all, he was the one who recommended Ning Fan to the Luo clan. Luo Xiao felt somewhat helpless about being ignored by the Luo clan. It's just a small matter. There's no need for fellow Taoist Luo to take it to heart. If I successfully cultivate the war god art, I will naturally be valued. Ning Fan said with a faint smile. He did not care whether the Luo clan valued him or not. Fellow Taoist is right. Fellow Taoist, please accept these mid-grade combat crystals as a token of my appreciation. Luo Xiao heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that Ning Fan was not dissatisfied with the Luo clan. With a wave of his hand, he took out a storage pouch and gave it to Ning Fan. Ning Fan glanced at the storage pouch and his expression changed slightly. 1,000 mid-grade battle crystals. The battle crystal was a unique product of the Tianhai Star Luo family. It was a spirit crystal made by a second-step Luo family cultivator, using the God of War technique. In the Luo clan, the Aries god art was not only a secret technique to raise the level of the physical body, but it could also be used to condense the power of the Tao of War into a Tao crystal, and make it into a battle crystal. The battle crystal was a kind of treasure that could increase a cultivator's battle intent in a short period of time. It was even more effective when used to cultivate battle intent cultivation techniques. The cultivation of the Luo family's Aries art relied heavily on the help of battle crystals. The battle crystals of the Luo family were sold to the outside world, and provided for the cultivation of countless Luo family cultivators. The battle crystals were divided into 4 grades, which were low grade, mid grade, high grade and top grade. In the Luo clan, a low-grade battle crystal could be sold for 10,000 Tao crystals. A mid-grade battle crystal was sold for 1 million Tao crystals, a high-grade battle crystal was sold for 100 million Tao crystals, and a top-grade battle crystal was sold for 10 billion Tao crystals. 1,000 mid-grade battle crystals were worth 1 billion Tao crystals. To Luo Xiao, who was a mid-ghost profound realm cultivator, it was a huge sum of money. I appreciate fellow Taoist's kindness. However, fellow Taoist is at the crucial stage of breaking through to the late ghost profound realm. I'm sure these battle crystals are also very important to you. Therefore, I won't accept these battle crystals no matter what. Ning Fan rejected Luo Xiao's kind intention. He had always maintained a distance from the Luo clan, and was not willing to get too close to them. This distance was a habit that Ning Fan had developed after many years of cultivation. After taking their things, he would have to owe them a favor. If it's not necessary, it's better not to accept others' kindness. Seeing that Ning Fan did not accept it, Luo Xiao let out a soft sigh and kept the storage pouch. His opinion of Ning Fan rose again. Those who do not accept others' kindness are usually people who know how to repay kindness. In Luo Xiao's opinion, even though Ning Fan's attitude was distant, he was definitely not a cold person. Tonight, Ning Fan stayed in the guest's abode that Luo Xiao arranged for him. This abode was built on the first of the 3 peaks of the Broken Halberd Mountain. The other 74 guest elders of the Luo clan also built abodes on the Broken Halberd Mountain. All the guest elders living on the first peak were cultivators who had yet to attain the first transformation of their battle arts. Outside the abode, There were many isolation formations. Inside the abode, the candlelight was flickering. Ning Fan was sitting cross-legged on a rush cushion, flipping through the battle-intent jade slip in his hand. Beside him, there were 10,000 low-grade battle crystals piled up like a mountain. He had obtained them from the Luo clan as a guest elder of the Luo clan. Other than that, there were also 2,000 mid-grade battle crystals. He had spent 200,000 Dao crystals to purchase them from the Luo clan. As for high-grade battle crystals, Ning Fan did not manage to purchase any of them. In order to purchase battle crystals of this grade, one must at least be a guest elder who had attained the first transformation. In the Luo clan, high-grade Dao crystals were extremely precious. There were also restrictions on purchasing them. Other than the few top-grade battle crystals left behind by the Battle King Luo Ho, the Luo clan did not have any surplus. Thus, they never sold them to outsiders. The cultivation method of the war god art is to condense battle crystals using this art. Then, by continuously devouring battle crystals, one can gradually cultivate their natal battle flame. Dao crystals are required to create battle crystals. Most importantly, it requires an endless supply of Dao of war power. This broken halberd mountain has an endless supply of Dao of war power. It is definitely the best place to condense battle crystals. Normally, cultivators who have yet to attain the first transformation can only use the war god art to create low-grade battle crystals at most. Moreover, the success rate is extremely low. Even if they consume 10,000 Dao crystals, they might not necessarily be able to produce one. Cultivators who have attained the first transformation have a higher chance of producing low-grade battle crystals. Cultivators who have attained the second transformation have a higher chance of producing mid-grade battle crystals, and so on and so forth. Currently, including the guest elders of the Luo clan, there are a total of 57 cultivators who have attained the first transformation. There are only 19 cultivators who have attained the second transformation. As for the third transformation, there is only the clan leader of the Luo clan. As for the fourth transformation, there is only the Battle King Luo Ho who is still in deep slumber. Ning Fan kept his battle intent jade slip without saying a word. He had already memorized all of the cultivation methods in his heart. Then he waved his hand and took out a piece of Dao crystal. He raised his hand and grabbed at the first peak of the broken halberd mountain. His grab contained an indescribable profoundness. Immediately, the Dao laws on the broken halberd mountain changed slightly. Endless Dao of war power began to flow towards Ning Fan's cave through the mountain's terrain and earth veins, flowing into the Dao crystal in Ning Fan's hand. At this moment, the eyes of all the old monsters in the other 74 cave dwellings on the first peak flickered. Most of the masters of these 74 cave dwellings were at the human profound realm. Only one of them was at the peak ghost profound realm. His name was Mengxiao. He was the cultivator who was the closest to attaining the first transformation of the cultivation method on the first peak. After sensing the fluctuations coming from the direction of Ning Fan's cave, Mengxiao snorted coldly and said disdainfully, "Is he the guest elder who just joined the Luo clan today? I remember his name is Ning Fan or something. He has just obtained the first transformation of the cultivation method for less than a day, and he is already thinking of condensing a low-grade battle crystal. Huh? What an arrogant person. With such an unstable temperament, I'm afraid it's impossible for him to attain the first transformation of the war god. As for his action of condensing the battle crystal, there's no need to ask. He will definitely fail." Chapter 809. On the first peak, no one could pass through the isolation formation to see what was happening inside Ning Fan's abode. If they could see it, they would be astounded. They would be astounded by the fact that Ning Fan had avoided all the mistakes that a beginner might make even though it was just his first time condensing a battle crystal. Judging from his crystal condensation technique alone, Ning Fan was almost perfect. He was not inferior to the cultivators of the Luo clan, who had been condensing battle crystals for many years. All of this was naturally because Ning Fan had opened the first gate of the heavenly being realm. Although it was his first time condensing a battle crystal, there were no problems with his technique. However, the condensation of battle crystals this time still ended in failure. When the Dao power of war continuously flowed into the Dao crystal and reached its limit, The Dao crystal in Ningfan's hand suddenly shook violently. Then it was broken by the Dao power and turned into powder. Looking at the Dao crystal powder in his hand, Ningfan's eyes flickered with green light, and said thoughtfully, "My technique is almost flawless. The reason why I can't produce battle crystals isn't because of my technique, but because of my Aries art cultivation base." Ningfan flicked his sleeve and drew a battle crystal from the small mountain of battle crystals. He held it in his hand and studied it carefully. At the end of the day, battle crystals were made from Dao crystals. Ordinary Dao crystals were mostly transparent, but after they were made into battle crystals, the color of their surfaces would turn fiery red. On the surface of the battle crystal, there was a layer of fiery red energy. It was like a seal, sealing the power of the Dao of War within the Dao crystal. This fiery red energy was the battle flame, recorded in the God of War technique. The flame of war was also known as the flame of war. In the end, the cultivators of the divine war art had to cultivate the battle fire in their bodies. To cultivate the flames of war, one needed to constantly consume battle crystals. The power of the flames of war could be used to condense battle crystals. My body doesn't have the power of the war fire, so I can't make a war crystal. To put it bluntly, the cultivation of the war god transformation is step by step, step by step. Ningfan's mind was recalling the cultivation method of the first transformation of the war god art, and gradually became silent. In order to cultivate the first form of the battle art, one would need to cultivate at least 9 natal battle fires before they could attempt a breakthrough. The process of condensing the war fire was nothing more than condensing the war crystal, consuming the war crystal, cultivating the war fire, and condensing the war crystal again. Naturally, if he was unable to condense a battle crystal, he could still cultivate his first life battle fire by relying on the cultivation technique itself. However, this method was extremely taxing on one's perception, and the speed was too slow. Instead, he closed his eyes and silently sensed the immortal battle intent of the first peak of the broken halberd. The battle intent on broken halberd peak wasn't crazed for battle, it was because they had no choice but to fight. This was the divine void ancestor's will to die when he was besieged by several monster emperors of the same level. This was the stubborn fighting spirit that he had left behind. On that day, divine void ancestor must have been in a desperate situation. On that day, the divine void ancestor had fought with his back against the wall. He had risked his life and his fighting spirit had been left behind to this day. Ningfan's mind seemed to have traced the battle intent of the broken halberd peak back to a very long time ago. It was as if a boundless savage battlefield appeared before his eyes. On this battlefield, hundreds of millions of cultivators and demons were killing each other. For their own tribes, it was a brutal slaughter. His heart seemed to have returned to the ancient times. His Dao gradually merged with the first peak of the broken halberd peak. The battle Dao power of the first peak was once again guided by Ningfan. All of them gathered into his body, forming a vortex of battle intent inside his body. Within that vortex, a spark was gradually born. It was very small and weak, but it was indeed the spark of the battle intent flame. However, this spark was really too small. It was so small that it could not be seen with the naked eye. The night passed quietly. Ningfan's night of cultivation had only increased the size of the spark of battle intent by a few times. However, it was still not visible to the naked eye. According to this speed of cultivation, Ningfan would probably be able to cultivate his first life battle fire after 30 to 50,000 years of cultivation. This speed was too slow. At this rate, Ningfan would probably need 3 to 500,000 years to completely cultivate the first transformation of his battle technique. Without a battle crystal, it will take too much time to cultivate this technique. Ningfan's eyes moved slightly. He took out a low-grade battle crystal and swallowed it in one go. With a thought, the battle crystal immediately melted into his body. All the battle intent that was sealed inside the battle crystal erupted in an instant. All of a sudden, Ningfan's eyes turned blood red. His expression became crazed and bloodthirsty for battle. This was the reaction that any cultivator would have after consuming a battle crystal. However, as Ningfan activated his war god art, the frenzied battle intent in his body was immediately suppressed bit by bit. Then, it was absorbed by the spark of battle intent in his body. After refining the first low-grade battle crystal, Ning Fan continued to refine the second, the third and the fourth. When he refined the 11th battle crystal, Ning Fan's face began to turn red. When he refined the 39th battle crystal, blood suddenly oozed out from under his skin, dyeing his white robes red. When he refined the 106th battle crystal, Ning Fan's entire body was covered in blood. The fire of battle intent in his body suddenly showed signs of becoming unstable. Without any hesitation, Ning Fan opened his blood-red eyes and forcefully stopped his cultivation of the war god art. 106 low-grade battle crystals. Is this my limit? Ning Fan said with a slightly regretful expression. The spark of battle intent in his body had already grown into a small flame of fire of battle. However, because he consumed too many battle crystals, it showed signs of becoming unstable. His body, on the other hand, had suffered a severe backlash due to the excessive consumption of battle crystals. Battle crystals could certainly help in the cultivation of the war god art. However, there were also significant disadvantages. Every cultivator of the war god art had their own limit of consuming battle crystals. Once the limit was exceeded, the fire of battle would become unstable, and their body would suffer a backlash. Ordinary cultivators would reach their limit after consuming more than 10 low-grade battle crystals consecutively. They would need to cultivate for a long time to sharpen their battle heart before they could continue consuming battle crystals to cultivate. As for cultivators with 5 types of battle physiques, they would need to consume hundreds of low-grade battle crystals consecutively to reach their limit. Ning Fan's limit was 106 low-grade battle crystals. Theoretically speaking, after consuming this amount of battle crystals, he would need to spend a long time in secluded cultivation to stabilize his fire of battle, before he could continue consuming battle crystals to cultivate. From the perspective of physique alone, my aptitude in cultivating the war god art is not as good as those cultivators with battle physiques. This is an indisputable fact. However, I also have other ways to make my cultivation speed not any slower than those cultivators with battle physiques. Ning Fan took off his blood-stained clothes and put on another set of white robes. Then he sat cross-legged on the ground and used the power of the black stars in his body to heal his injuries. After his injuries were fully healed, he activated the baleful chi in his body, and a bloody flame of baleful chi was gradually ignited below him. He deliberately controlled the power of the baleful chi within the area of the immortal's cave, not allowing any of it to leak out. After releasing all of the baleful chi in his body, the unstable fire of battle in his body gradually calmed down. Even though I am not a cultivator with battle physiques, the battles that I have experienced are incomparable to those ordinary cultivators with battle physiques. My indomitable will to fight was also born from this slaughter. The fact that the fire of battle crystals had calmed down meant that after releasing all of his baleful chi, his upper limit of consuming battle crystals had changed. He continued to consume battle crystals. This time he consumed nearly 1,000 low-grade battle crystals consecutively. Only then did he reach his upper limit of consuming battle crystals again. Seeing this, Ning Fan nodded his head in satisfaction. He waved his hand and wiped it across his face, turning into his silver-haired ghost face. The moment he summoned the ghost face, his expression immediately turned as cold as ice. The fire of battle in his body also calmed down in an instant. It no longer showed any signs of stabilizing. He continued to consume battle crystals. This time he consumed 10,000 low-grade battle crystals, and another 1,500 mid-grade battle crystals. Only then did he reach his upper limit of consuming battle crystals. If the Luo clan finds out about this, they would certainly be shocked because even the former Battle King Luo Ho could not consume so many battle crystals in one go. Refine. Ning Fan uttered a word coldly. Under the silver ghost face, his blood-red eyes were cold and emotionless. After refining all of the power of the battle crystals, Ning Fan's mind merged with the broken halberd mountain. Then, he continued to temper the fire of battle in his body in this immortal's cave. This seclusion lasted for 3 months. 3 months later, he suddenly rose to his feet and stood in the immortal's cave with his hands clasped behind his back. There were a total of 3 fist-sized balls of scarlet flame circling around his body. These scarlet flames were the fire of battle intent that was required to cultivate the war god art. The first transformation of the war god required one to cultivate 9 balls of fire of battle in order to truly master it. The cultivator could then borrow the power of the fire of battle to increase the realm of his physical body. There were quite a number of people in the Luo clan who had cultivated 3 balls of fire of battle. However, most of them had spent tens of years or even hundreds of years to reach this stage. Ning Fan, however, only spent 3 months. With a thought in his mind, he kept the 3 balls of fire of battle. Ning Fan kept the remaining 500 mid-grade battle crystals. With a flash, he flew out of the Immortal's Cave and headed towards Purple Silk City. When he flew out of the Immortal's Cave, the guest elder Meng Xiu also happened to walk out of the Immortal's Cave. Looking at Ning Fan's back in the vast sky, Meng Xiu let out a disdainful snort and sneered. This man has been in seclusion for 3 months. I wonder if he has cultivated even a little bit of fire of battle. As soon as his words fell, he suddenly revealed a look of disbelief. He patted his storage pouch and took out a fire compass. The name of this compass was the Battle Fire Compass. It was a magic treasure that Meng Xiu created himself. In the entire Luo clan, he was the only one who possessed this treasure. It could measure the number of fire of battle that he had, and also the number of fire of battle that others had. At this moment, the Battle Fire Compass was facing Ning Fan. Suddenly, 3 wisps of fire of battle intent rose from it. 3 balls of fire of battle. How is this possible? This man has just become the guest elder of the Luo clan for 3 months. How is it possible for him to cultivate 3 balls of fire of battle? In the past, it took me 6,000 years just to cultivate from the 2nd fire of battle to the 3rd fire of battle. The reason why Ning Fan came all the way to Purple Silk City was because he had something to ask Luo Xiao. After he displayed the guest elder token of the Luo clan, there were almost no obstructions in Purple Silk City. Now that he had already reached the limit of consuming crystals, there were 2 ways for him to consume crystals again. The first was to enter seclusion and cultivate diligently to sharpen his battle heart. The second was to use a great battle to completely calm the instability of the fire of battle in his body and stabilize his foundation. Luo Xiao was the 4th commander of the Luo clan. His residence was the 4th commander's mansion in Purple Silk City. When Ning Fan arrived at the entrance of the mansion, Luo Xiao immediately sensed his presence and personally came out to welcome him. Hehe. Fellow Taoist Ning, I wonder what brings you to my humble abode? Luo Xiao asked with a smile. I came here because I have something to ask you. I wonder if there's any place in this Eastern Ocean Star region that can allow me to fight with all my strength and stabilize the fire of battle? Stabilize the fire of battle? Could it be that fellow Taoist has reached the limit of consuming crystals? Luo Xiao was slightly stunned. Then he answered with a smile. In this Eastern Ocean Star region, the most suitable place for us cultivators of battle arts to fight with all our strength is none other than the Divine Tomb. The Divine Tomb, huh? Anyway, I'll have to go there sooner or later. It's not a bad idea to go and have a look now. Ning Fan nodded his head. With a leap, he rose into the sky and flew away from the heavenly sea star. At the moment when Ning Fan rose into the sky, Luo Xiao suddenly realized something. He stared at Ning Fan's back with great shock. It's the chi of the fire of battle. It has only been 3 months and fellow Taoist Ning has already formed his first natal fire of battle. This person's aptitude in cultivating the war god art is indeed extremely high. I, Luo Xiao, have chosen the right person. However, Luo Xiao did not know that Ning Fan did not form 1 natal fire of battle but 3. If he knew about this, he would probably be even more astonished by Ning Fan's cultivation speed. The Divine Tomb was located on the Divine Space Star, one of the 3 main planets in the Eastern Ocean Star region. It was not far away from the Heavenly Sea Star. Under Ning Fan's full speed, it only took him half a day to reach the starry sky of the 3 main planets. During the great chaos in the Eastern Heaven, he had come to this place before. Today, however, his mood was different. There were many cultivators coming and going in this place. However, it was extremely rare to see cultivators who were above the true immortal realm. Currently, many experts of the Divine Void Pavilion were painstakingly repairing the heaven-suppressing bell, with the help of the experts of the Four Freaks sect. It was said that this repair would take at least several thousand years to complete. Because of this, the heaven-suppressing bell had no choice but to be delayed again and again. I wonder if Wuxia has already come out of seclusion. Ning Fan glanced at the direction of the Eastern Ocean star. After remaining silent for a while, he landed on the Divine Space Star. During the great chaos in the Eastern Heaven, both the Divine Void Emperor and the Divine Void Emperor were gravely injured by Sun Luo. Now they were in seclusion to heal their injuries. As for the 300 disciples of Great Emperor Shen Void, most of them were busy repairing the heaven-suppressing bell. Even on the Divine Space Star, there were not many true immortals. It was already very rare to see a cultivator at the Dujin realm occasionally. However, Ning Fan knew that this Divine Space Star art should not be underestimated. It was because at the first moment he stepped on the Divine Space Star, he had sensed an old monster with a terrifying cultivation base hiding on this star through the senses of his union of heaven and man. If Ning Fan was not mistaken, that old monster who was hiding on the Divine Space Star was the person who sent out the Limitless Skull and repelled the quasi-saint of the Purple Clan. Unfortunately, with Ning Fan's current cultivation base, he could not accurately sense where that old monster was on the Divine Space Star. Is the quasi-saint of the Divine Void Pavilion currently on this Divine Space Star? Ning Fan muttered to himself. Just as Ning Fan was pondering, on the heavenly stairway leading to the Divine Tomb, there was also a blind old man who was sweeping the floor. His expression changed. What a young junior! Could this young man be the cultivator who opened the first gate of the heavenly being realm? He has opened the gate of the heavenly being realm, even though he is just at the mid-ghost profound realm. The younger generation will surpass us in time. Truly, the younger generation will surpass us in time. This young man's innate talent should be even higher than Luo Heir's. Luo Heir had opened the first gate of the heavenly being realm when she was in the midst of her fragmented will. The blind old man's expression suddenly became desolate because he thought of a certain foolish disciple. Most of the cultivators who come and go on the Divine Space Star were heading towards the Divine Tomb. On the Divine Space Star, there was a heavenly stairway that connected to the heavens. At the end of the stairway, there was a purple oval door of light which led directly to the Middle Thousand Tomb realm, where the Divine Tomb was located. Ning Fan stepped on the heavenly stairway step by step, and walked towards the door of light. The reception disciples along the way felt his chi of the second step. Most of them were extremely respectful towards him. That blind old man was the only one who maintained a calm expression. The cultivation base that he revealed in this place was just at the early nascent soul realm. His Dao name was Xiangbozi. The other reception disciples called him Senior Brother Xiang. At the moment when Ning Fan stepped on the heavenly stairway and passed by Xiangbozi, the latter suddenly smiled faintly and said to Ning Fan's back, "Little friend, you are born with a profound Tao comprehension. You actually open the first gate of the heavenly being realm when you are still at the profound ghost realm. I wonder if you are willing to stay for a while and exchange your cultivation experience of the unity of heaven and man with me?" All of a sudden, Ning Fan's eyes widened. He turned around abruptly and stared at the blind old man who was called Xiangbozi in disbelief. Could this person be the Divine Void Quasi-Saint who is hiding on the Divine Space Star? Why did this person call out to me? As for the nascent soul realm disciples besides Xiangbozi, they felt extremely nervous. What did they just see? Senior Brother Xiang, who is just a nascent soul realm cultivator, actually dared to call Ning Fan, who is at the second step, as little friend? Senior, please calm down. Senior Brother Xiang is just spouting nonsense. Please don't take it to heart. Senior is an expert who has attained the Tao. Please don't lower yourself to the same level as us juniors. Some of the nascent soul realm disciples who were on good terms with Xiangbozi immediately apologized to Ning Fan in fear and trepidation. These nascent soul realm disciples did not know what the unity of heaven and man was. They only knew that Ning Fan's cultivation base was extremely high, and he was a dignified second-step immortal. He was an existence that they and Xiangbozi, who were just nascent soul realm juniors, could never afford to offend. Chapter 8:10. Ning Fan smiled bitterly in his heart. How would he dare to blame Xiangbozi, who was a quasi-sage realm expert? In fact, Ning Fan should be the one who felt nervous when he was suddenly stopped by a quasi-saint realm expert. Little friend, don't worry. This old man has no ill intentions. I just want to exchange some cultivation insights with you, that's all. If little friend is unwilling, you can leave. This old man will not stop you. Xiang Bozi smiled faintly, but his expression was a little disappointed. When he looked at Ning Fan from a closer distance, Nambozi felt that Ning Fan's temperament was extremely similar to Sun Luo's. Both of them were stepping on the sea of blood. Both of them had feelings in their hearts. Both of them were devil monarchs with obsession in their hearts. Other people might not be able to see through Ning Fan's background, but Xiang Bozi could vaguely tell that Ning Fan was a devil cultivator. Ning Fan's mind raced as he digested Xiang Bozi's words. This person shouldn't have any malicious intent towards me. Otherwise, he could have attacked me directly with his quasi-saint cultivation base and didn't need to talk nonsense with me. Judging from what he said, he should have already opened the first gate of the heaven-human realm. Does he really just want to share his experiences of being one with heaven with me? After pondering for a while, Ning Fan finally nodded his head and agreed to the old man's request. Xiang Bozi nodded in satisfaction. He suddenly raised his hand, and the two of them faded and disappeared from the stairway. Not good. Senior Marshal Brother Xiang was taken away by that second step senior. The nascent soul disciples immediately cried out in alarm. Their faces were full of sorrow, but they were powerless to do anything. In a colossus like the Godly Void Pavilion, nascent soul cultivators were nothing more than ants. Practically no one cared about their life and death. From their point of view, since Xiang Bozi had been captured by Ning Fan, he would probably be in danger. He could only blame Xiang Bozi for being reckless and angering a second-step senior with his nascent soul cultivation. Although they were not worried about Boerzi, they were powerless to help. What they did not know was that no one on the stairway knew that Ning Fan and Xiang Bozi had actually not taken even half a step away from their original spot. They were still standing on the stairway, but they seemed to be standing in another space. Ning Fan looked at the empty stairway to heaven, and then at the divine space star. His eyes flashed with astonishment. This is a barrier. Just a moment ago, Nambozi had set up a barrier around the entire divine space star, preventing anyone from probing. They were still here, but no one knew. There's no need to panic, little friend. The reason I've set up a barrier here is because I'm afraid others will disturb our discussion. If you wish to leave, I can open the barrier at any time and send you off, Xiang Bozi explained with a smile. There was an indescribable sense of intimacy in his expression. Perhaps it was because Ning Fan had attained the unity of heaven and man. Or perhaps it was because Ning Fan had a temperament that was extremely similar to Sun Luo's. Or perhaps it was because Ning Fan was still able to remain calm even at this moment. Xiang Bozi's attitude towards Ning Fan was actually as amiable as a senior. Ning Fan was slightly stunned. He calmed himself down and cupped his fists towards Bozi. Junior Ning Fan greets Senior. His tone was very respectful, but he still maintained 120% vigilance in his heart. Quietly, the Slayer Emperor's jade slip was hidden in his sleeve. If necessary, he would even be prepared to activate the medicinal power of the fantasy life pill. Ning Fan rather enter the mortal world than become an immortal. That's a good name. Xiang Bozi's closed eyes moved blindly and turned towards Ning Fan's sleeve. He seemed to have noticed that Ning Fan was hiding something to protect himself. However, he did not point it out. He just sighed softly and shook his head. I'm Xiang Bozi. Just like you, I've already opened the first gate of the heavenly being realm. The reason why I asked you to stay today is because I want to discuss your cultivation experience of attaining the unity of heaven and man. May I know how you feel about the opening of the gate of the heavenly being realm? Xiang Bozi's tone was extremely polite when he asked this question. Feeling, Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He pondered for a moment and then said, the biggest feeling I have about the opening of the gate of the heavenly being realm is that it's too coincidental. It's so coincidental that there are no signs at all. Little friend, do you think that the opening of the gate of the heavenly being realm is purely coincidental? When I first opened the gate of the heavenly being realm, I also had the same opinion as you. However, as time passed, my opinion gradually changed. Everything in this world has its inevitability in all coincidences. In my opinion, the opening of the gate of the heavenly being realm can still be traced. It has been countless years since I've been meddling in worldly affairs. During these years, I would sometimes transform into my nascent soul realm and sweep the heaven stairway with these nascent soul realm cultivators. Sometimes, I would transform into a mortal and go to a cultivation planet to live in seclusion. Once, I met a great Confucian of the mortal world and consulted him. He taught me the 3 great realms of life. In my opinion, these 3 great realms are extremely similar to the path of cultivation for us cultivators. Are you willing to listen to it? Xiang Bozi smiled faintly and walked up the heaven stairway step by step at an extremely slow pace. Ning Fan's eyes moved. He followed behind Xiang Bozi and said respectfully, I'm willing to listen to Senior's opinion. That great Confucian of the mortal world told me that there are 3 great realms for those who achieve great things in the mortal world since ancient times. The first great realm is the realm of solitary cultivation. If there's a poem in the mortal world to describe it, it would be climbing the tall building alone and gazing at the ends of the world. When cultivators of my generation take the first step of the Tao, most of them cultivate for the sake of immortality. This kind of cultivation is ultimately passive. It's the fear of death, the fear of falling and dying of old age. Cultivators who take the first step think that immortality is the end of cultivation. They think that they have seen the whole picture of the great Tao and the ends of the world. However, they don't know that it's just their view from the bottom of a well. This great Tao has no end. In this world, there's also no end of the world. They don't know, but they still cultivate alone, accumulating what they have learned along the way just to see everything clearly one day. This is the first great realm of the Tao. This great Tao has no end. This world also has no end. Ning Fan's eyes moved. After cultivators of my generation step into the second step of the Tao, they will gradually realize that life and death are nothing but illusions. Immortality is just the beginning of immortality. At this time, what they pursue is no longer immortality but the truth of the Tao. They want to find out the truth of the Tao. No one is forcing them, but they pursue it diligently and persistently. Even if they fail, they will have no regrets. This is the second great realm of the Tao, the realm of persistence without regrets. In my opinion, the reason why the second step cultivators are stronger than the first step cultivators is not only because of their cultivation base, but also their pursuit of the great Tao. The pursuit of the great Tao, huh? Ning Fan murmured. The third step of the Tao is too far away. In my opinion, it's a realm of looking back suddenly. From a mortal to a cultivator. From a cultivator to an immortal. From an immortal to a mortal. Perhaps this is the only way to step into the distant third step of the Tao. As he said that, Xiang Bozi's face suddenly showed a perplexed expression. He had been in the quasi-saint realm for countless years, but he still couldn't step into the legendary third step of the Tao. Senior's words about dividing the 3 steps of the Tao into 3 great realms are quite philosophical. However, what does all of this have to do with opening the door of the unity of heaven and man? Ning Fan suddenly asked, interrupting Xiang Bozi's perplexed thoughts. Cultivating alone, pursuing without regrets. Looking back suddenly, success comes naturally when the conditions are right. This is the method of opening the door of the heaven and man in my eyes. However, in little friend's opinion, all of this seems to be just a coincidence. Xiang Bozi said with a faint smile. Cultivating alone, pursuing without regrets. Looking back suddenly, success comes naturally when the conditions are right. Ning Fan's eyes suddenly widened as if he had been enlightened. He seemed to have understood something, but he couldn't put it into words. Xiang Bozi looked at Ning Fan with a smile. It was as if he had found a confirmation from Ning Fan's enlightenment and gained something from it. Little friend, you seem to have cultivated the warfire ability of the Luo clan. Did you come to the divine tomb today to seek a battle? Xiang Bozi suddenly asked. That's right. Ning Fan put away his expression and answered respectfully. It's fate that I'm able to meet little friend today. I'll give this item to you. Perhaps one day, this item will be able to help little friend cultivate battle arts. If little friend can cultivate the 4th transformation of this battle art, and save the battle king of the Luo clan, It can also slightly offset my disciples' sins. Xiang Bozi waved his palm and took out a square-shaped golden token, passing it to Ning Fan. There was only a single divine seal character inscribed on the token. Battle. This is the 4 fish sex battle order. With this token, you can use the 4 teleportation formations in the 4 heavens immortal world. You can freely enter and exit the savage battlefield where the 4 heavens and the demon race have been fighting for generations. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with excitement. In the 4 fish sect, only those who had attained the 4th grade heavenly supervisor, immortal position could receive the battle order. In the entire 4 heavens, those who had attained the immortal position of heavenly supervisor were at least ancient monsters. As for those who had attained the 3rd grade Star Lord immortal position, there were only the 28-star constellation ancient emperors of the 4 fish sect. Currently, there was not a single 2nd grade or 1st grade immortal position. Nominally, Ning Fan was once bestowed an 8th grade immortal position in the Devil Conferral Summit. He was considered as a low-grade immortal official among the 9th grade immortal positions. With Ning Fan's qualifications, it was impossible for him to receive the battle order through the proper channels. I can't accept this token. Ning Fan withdrew his expression and was about to return the battle order to Xiang Bozi. Xiang Bozi just waved his hand and did not accept it. Then he waved his hand to undo the barrier. Step by step, he walked down the heavenly stairway and transmitted his voice to Ning Fan with a smile. The battle intent on the broken halberd peak is limited after all. In the past, the Battle King Luo Ho had attained the 4th transformation in the savage battlefield. This token is just a waste in my hands. However, it will be of help to you. You don't have to reject it. Besides, this is not my kindness towards you. It's my apology to the Luo clan. I just hope that I can use your hand to awaken the Battle King. That's all. All right. Little friend, it's time for you to go to the Divine Tomb. Xiang Bozi just smiled and did not turn his head back. Ning Fan looked at Xiang Bozi's back and remained silent for a long time. In the end, he carefully examined the token and kept it into his storage pouch. After that, he cupped his fists at Xiang Bozi and turned around to continue walking up the heavenly stairway. Even though he did not have a good impression of the Godly Void Pavilion, he did not dislike Xiang Bozi too much. However, what surprised Ning Fan was that Xiang Bozi, a dignified quasi-saint realm cultivator, actually treated people kindly. He was not as arrogant and conceited as some powerful old monsters. Befriending a nascent soul realm cultivator and discussing the Tao with mortals, Xiang Bozi had the temperament of returning to simplicity. An immortal emperor was already standing at the peak of the immortal realm. As for quasi-saints, they were walking down the mountain bit by bit and returning to the mortal world. When I go up the mountain, I become an immortal. When I descend the mountain, I become immortal. My path has yet to reach the peak of the immortal realm. It's still far from the time for me to descend the mountain. Ning Fan walked to the top of the heavenly stairway step by step, and stepped into the oval door of light. Then he appeared in a vast and boundless world. This world was, in fact, a gigantic bronze coffin. There were 9 levels of the world inside the coffin, and countless tombs were built there. As for Ning Fan, he was currently inside this coffin in the world of the 1st level of the Divine Tomb. The world that entered his sight was desolate. Far away from him, there were millions of gigantic palaces built. All of the palaces looked like giant coffins. Nearby, there was a small cultivation market which had a total of hundreds of shops. Some of these shops were opened by the cultivators of the Godly Void Pavilion, while some were rented by cultivators from other places. They sold all kinds of heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures here. Of course, most of the items sold were the immemorial fiend god cultivation techniques of various grades. Senior, may I know if you have come to the tomb world to challenge the tomb palaces or to purchase cultivation methods and inheritance crystals? Do you need me to be your guide? Just as Ning Fan was looking around, a beautiful void fragmentation realm female cultivator walked towards him on the long street, where people were coming and going from the market. With her eyesight which had been wandering in the tomb world for many years, she could tell at a glance that it was Ning Fan's first time coming to the Divine Tomb. If she could be his guide, she would be able to earn a lot of Tao crystals. Chapter 8:11. Ningfan shifted his gaze to the side and looked at her. The beautiful lady in front of him was just at the third heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. Even though she was beautiful, her primordial Een was no longer there. She was no longer a virgin. There was a faint smell of seductive fragrance on her body. Generally speaking, only some unrestrained female devil cultivators in the four heavens would embellish this kind of seductive fragrance on their bodies. You want to be my guide? Ningfan withdrew his gaze and asked indifferently. Yes. I have cultivated in the tomb world for many years, and I know this place like the back of my hand. Senior only needs to pay me 1,000 Dao crystals, and you can get me to be your guide. Of course, even if Senior has special requests for me, I will also agree to them one by one. When she mentioned the word special requests, the beautiful lady's eyes shone with a seductive charm. Her red lips parted slightly, and she breathed out a mouthful of red mist at Ningfan. Ningfan frowned slightly. His eyes turned sharp and the red mist immediately disappeared. The beautiful lady's face turned slightly pale. Suddenly, she could not stand steadily and stared at Ningfan in disbelief. That red mist was the bewitching technique that she had cultivated for many years. In addition to her innate beauty, she had used it to seduce seniors and old monsters to sleep with her. However, when she used it to seduce Ningfan, it was destroyed by his gaze, without a doubt. Ningfan was an expert in bewitching techniques. His cultivation base was far beyond her, who was just a third-breaking realm cultivator. Don't do unnecessary things. You just need to be my guide. Ningfan gave her a warning glance. Then he raised his hand and took out a storage pouch that contained 1,000 Dao crystals, and handed it to her. The beautiful lady kept the storage pouch and immediately apologized to Ningfan in fear and trepidation. She no longer dared to seduce Ningfan. At this moment, she had already determined that Ningfan was a powerful devil cultivator, who did not match his scholarly appearance at all. He must not be offended. She calmed herself down and said to Ningfan respectfully, Senior, I wonder if you are here to purchase the cultivation methods and inheritances of the ancient fiend gods, or to challenge the various tomb palaces. If it's the former, I can bring you to the cultivation market here to purchase cultivation methods and inheritance crystals. If it's the latter, I can tell you the rules and benefits of challenging the tomb palaces here. Show me around the cultivation market first. Ningfan said indifferently. He had long heard that within the Eastern Heaven deity tomb, there would be all sorts of primordial fiend god cultivation techniques that would circulate from time to time, and it was only today that he got to see it with his own eyes. Then, she immediately led Ningfan into the market and explained everything to him in detail. There were only two types of shops in the market. Generally speaking, shops opened by foreign cultivators would only sell 1-star to 3-star fiend god cultivation techniques and legacy crystals. The shops opened by godly void pavilion cultivators would sell 1-star to 6-star godfiend cultivation methods. Naturally, there were also many shops that sold elixirs to provide supplies for those who challenged the palace tomb. Ningfan's spirit sense scanned through the shops in this place, and his expression gradually changed. Here, primordial godfiend cultivation technique jade slips were as common as cabbages, filling the shelves of every shop. 1 to 3-star cultivation techniques were relatively cheap, and could usually be bought with a few thousand Dao crystals. 4 to 6-star cultivation techniques were rather expensive, ranging from tens of thousands to tens of millions of Dao crystals. He walked into each shop and carefully scanned the shelves. On one of the shelves of a store, Ningfan even found the 4-star devil art that he had once cultivated, Corpse Devil Record. Its price was only 10,000 Dao crystals. There was even a 6-star devil art, Nirvana scripture that Moksha Sovereign cultivated. Its price was 14 million Dao crystals. Occasionally, there would be shops that sold half-star cultivation techniques, yin-yang transformation. The price was only a few tens of Dao crystals, but no one was interested in them. There was no complete 5-star devil art. There were only some incomplete copies. Even so, each of them was sold for more than 30 million Dao crystals. There was actually someone who set up a stall on the street to buy the complete black devil art. The price was enough to buy a 7 or 8-star devil art. The person who wanted to buy the complete black devil art was an old monster whose cultivation base was close to Duzhan's. He placed a sign on the stall. There was a partial introduction of the Black Devil art on it. The Black Devil art is the sect master cultivation technique of the Black Devil sect in the Northern Heaven. The person who obtains this cultivation technique will be the master of the Black Devil sect. If anyone has a complete version of the Black Devil art, I am willing to buy it for 10 billion. Ning Fan's eyes turned solemn and murmured, "A 5-star devil art can actually be sold for 10 billion. Senior, you might not know this, but some fiend god cultivation techniques don't have a high grade, but they have special effects. That's why their prices are extremely high. For example, this Black Devil art is the sect master cultivation technique of an ancient force in the Northern Heaven immortal world. That's why its price is rather high. Unfortunately, there's no Black Devil Tomb Palace in the Divine Tomb. There's no other way to obtain this cultivation technique. The incomplete version of the Black Devil art that is being sold here is usually obtained by the cultivators here through other means." "I see." Ning Fan glanced at the old man's stall again. Then he shook his head and left. Of course, it was impossible for him to sell the sect master cultivation technique of the Black Devil sect to an outsider for the sake of 10 billion Dao crystals. This was a cultivation technique that the old devil had taught him. It must not be passed down easily. In this market, the jade slips for cultivation techniques were the cheapest. The one with a higher price was the inheritance crystal. The inheritance crystal could directly transmit the cultivation memory of the fiend god cultivation technique into the cultivator's sea of consciousness, saving a lot of cultivation time. Therefore, its price was usually 10 times higher than a cultivation technique of the same level. Other than the inheritance crystal, there were also a few shops that sold something called the fiend god relic. The fiend god relic was the most expensive item in the cultivation market. Any of the fiend god relic was priced at more than 100 million Dao crystals. In a shop that was opened by a late True Crossing Realm old monster, Ning Fan saw a poison devil relic that was priced at 5 billion Dao crystals. Within this poison devil relic, the light of law was faintly flowing. Relics are something that only a few heavenly tombs would produce. For example, this poison devil relic is the spoil of war that the owner of this shop obtained when he went through the poison devil tomb palace a few days ago. This relic is extremely beneficial to the cultivators of the poison devil scripture. However, it's useless to the cultivators of other cultivation techniques. The beautiful woman explained. Ning Fan nodded his head slightly and left the shop. 2 hours had passed. He had already walked through the entire market. At the end of the market, there was a small square. At the center of the square, there was a gigantic jade stele that was 100 zhang tall. There were thousands of names on the jade stele. After each name, there was a score. These names were also arranged according to the ranking of the participants. This is the tombstone that records the grave merit points of the previous generation's tomb guardians. The people on the tombstone are the tomb guardians of the previous tomb competition. The beautiful woman explained. Ning Fan's eyes scanned across the tombstone. On this huge tombstone, the person with the lowest grave merit points only had a few hundred points. The person with the highest grave merit points actually had millions of grave merit points. On this huge tombstone, the person with the highest grave merit points was the Bone Immortal Monarch, Jun Changdong. His grave merit points were 3 per million. The grave merit points can only be obtained by challenging the tomb palace. Only the previous tomb guardians have them. The grave merit points can be exchanged for Dao crystals in the Godly Void Pavilion, or exchanged for cultivation methods, pills and many other rewards. The level of the grave merit points is not necessarily related to the ranking of the tomb guardians in the tomb competition. However, it can also reflect the strength of the tomb guardians to a certain extent. The number of tomb guardians in this tomb competition has yet to be determined. Once it is determined, the names on this tombstone will be replaced with the names of the tomb guardians. The beautiful woman continued. Ning Fan looked at Jun Changdong's name and went silent for a while. Then, he asked the beautiful woman about the rules of challenging the tomb palace and asked her to leave. The divine tomb was divided into 9 floors. In the first 6 floors, there were countless tomb palaces on each floor. They were divided into the heavenly tomb, earth tomb and human tomb. There was no danger in the human tomb. It was a place for cultivators to go into seclusion and comprehend their cultivation methods. There were different kinds of dangers in the earth tomb. After passing them, one could obtain cultivation method jade slips and inheritance crystals as rewards. In the heavenly tomb, there were illusions of the tomb master. If one could defeat these illusions, one could obtain the special product of the heavenly tomb, Fiend God Relic. Activating the tomb palace required Dao crystals. Different levels of tomb palaces had different cultivation level restrictions. Those whose cultivation levels were higher than the upper limit would not be able to enter the tomb palace. The human tomb had a limit of 1 person per palace. Only 1 person could enter at a time. A second person would definitely not be able to enter. The earth tomb had a limit of 10 people. If 1 person could not pass the test alone, 10 people could join hands to do so. The heavenly tomb had a limit of 50 people. Ning Fan leaped into the sky and flew towards the group of tomb palaces in the distance. The purpose of his visit this time was to fight. Thus, he directly ignored the human tomb and scanned through the earth tomb and heavenly tomb with his spirit sense. Among the millions of tomb palaces, the human tomb took up 90% while the earth tomb took up 10%. There were only a few heavenly tombs. Most of the earth tombs and heavenly tombs in the first level of the divine tomb had a cultivation level restriction of void fragmentation realm. Occasionally, there were a few earth tombs whose cultivation level was restricted to early human profound realm. After walking through the first level, Ning Fan sighed softly. With his current cultivation level, he could not challenge this level of tomb palaces. Using a gigantic light gate at the end of this world, Ning Fan was teleported to the second level of the divine tomb. There were no markets for cultivators in this second level. The number of tomb palaces was only several tens of thousands. The cultivation level of the tomb palaces in this second level was mostly restricted to early ghost profound realm. However, with Ning Fan's current cultivation level, he still could not enter it. So, I can only go to the third level. Ning Fan leaped into the air and turned into a ray of light, rushing towards the light gate that led to the third level. After entering the third level, Ning Fan immediately landed on the ground and spread his spirit sense. In this third level, there were only around 9,000 tomb palaces. The cultivation level of the tomb palaces here was mostly restricted to the peak true crossing realm. Almost all the human tombs in this level had been opened. Many void fragmentation realm, life immortal realm, and even true crossing realm true immortals were cultivating in seclusion in this level. There were only around 1,000 earth tombs in this level while there were only 4 heavenly tombs. Ning Fan leaped into the air and arrived in front of one of the earth tombs. His eyes swept across a gigantic monument outside the tomb palace. The cultivation level restriction of this tomb palace and the number of Dao crystals required to open this tomb were marked on the monument. This tomb is the one left behind by Lianyan Huemo after his death. It contains the 3 stars devil art, Lianyan scripture. To open this tomb, one person will need 1,000 Dao crystals. Ning Fan withdrew his gaze and walked to the gigantic gate of the tomb palace. The gate was still in a sealed state and could not be opened. Outside the giant door stood 2 ancient bronze statues. Ning Fan took out a storage pouch containing 1,000 Dao crystals, according to the lady's introduction, and offered it to the heavens. Immediately, the storage pouch turned into 2 rays of light and flew into the bodies of the 2 bronze statues. The eyes of the 2 bronze statues suddenly lit up with dark purple light. At this moment, the gigantic gate of the tomb palace slowly opened. Without saying anything, Ning Fan leaped into the tomb palace. At the next moment, the gate of the tomb palace closed. As far as the eye could see, the world was dark and gloomy. Dark clouds covered the sky, and the place under his feet was a large graveyard built in a volcanic valley. The moment Ning Fan arrived, the soil of the graveyard suddenly moved. Undead spirits that were burning with flames crawled out from the ground continuously. The cultivation level of these undead spirits varied from the vein-opening realm to the void fragmentation realm. As soon as they appeared, they immediately attacked Ning Fan. With Ning Fan's eyesight, he could tell that these undead spirits were illusions and not real. In other words, the entire world inside the tomb palace was a world transformed by an illusion technique. Everything was fake. However, in this illusory world, a single mistake would cause one to be injured by the undead spirits or even die. The injuries and deaths were all real. The third level of the earth tomb seems to be a little too simple. Ning Fan casually flicked his sleeve. Immediately, an unimaginably mighty force blasted out, annihilating these undead spirits. However, after killing one batch, a second batch would immediately appear. After killing the second batch, there was still a third batch. 2 hours passed. Ning Fan had already annihilated a total of 100 batches of undead spirits. At this moment, a 10,000 zhang tall giant flame devil, with a 9th heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivation base, suddenly appeared between heaven and earth. As soon as it appeared, it immediately lifted its foot and stomped in Ning Fan's direction. Without saying a word, Ning Fan lifted his hand and pointed at the giant flame devil. The grand momentum of heaven and earth seemed to be guided by Ning Fan's finger. With just a press of his finger, it was as if the entire heaven and earth was blasted towards the giant flame devil, killing it. At the moment when the giant flame devil was killed, rays of fiery light flew from all directions and condensed into a fiery red jade slip, floating in front of Ning Fan. Ning Fan bent his palm and scanned the contents of the jade slip with his spirit sense. Then he revealed a thoughtful expression. At the next moment, the formation of the tomb palace trembled slightly and teleported Ning Fan out of the tomb palace. 3 stars devil art, Lianyan scripture, ha! Ning Fan shook his head and kept the jade slip of the Lianyan scripture. Then he flew towards the other tombs. Another 8 hours passed. Ning Fan had gone through the other 4 tombs and obtained 3 sets of 3 stars fiend god cultivation methods, as well as the inheritance crystal of a certain 3 stars divine art. To him, a 3 stars fiend god cultivation method was useless. Besides, challenging the 3rd floor of the tomb was not enough for him to use his full strength. He looked at the 4 heavenly tombs in the distance, and then at the teleportation portal in the distance. Then he fell into deep thought. Currently he was not a tomb keeper. Thus he did not have the right to enter the 4th floor. If he doesn't want to challenge the earth tombs, his only choice was to challenge the heavenly tombs. Among the 4 heavenly tombs on this floor, 3 of them were dim, and only one of them was still glowing with divine light. The ones that were dim were the ones that had been cleared by others. They would be in a dormant state for tens of years, and would not be able to be opened. This was also the difference between the heavenly tombs and the other tomb palaces. If the heavenly tombs are broken, they would certainly need tens of years to recover. Ning Fan's body flashed, and he flew outside the heavenly tomb that was still glowing with divine light. This tomb was called the Stone Devil Heavenly Tomb. Each person would have to pay 200,000 Dao crystals to enter this tomb. Currently, more than 40 cultivators had gathered outside the tomb palace of the Heavenly Tomb. They were recruiting people in an attempt to break through this tomb together. Other than a few rogue immortals, all of them were second-step life immortal realm experts. There were 27 human profound life immortal realm experts and 14 ghost profound life immortal realm experts. Among the 14 ghost profound life immortal realm experts, a few of them were at the peak ghost profound realm. Today, we have gathered here just to break through this Stone Devil Heavenly Tomb and obtain the Stone Devil Relic. Now including me, there are already 44 fellow Taoists here. After gathering another 6 Taoists, we will be able to break through the tomb together. If we obtain the relic, I will certainly thank all of you for your help. A peak ghost profound realm yellow-robed old man was saying something to the other cultivators. When he saw Ning Fan's arrival, his eyes immediately lit up. I am Huang Xuanzi, an inner sect disciple of the sect pavilion of the 4 divine void pavilions. Fellow Taoist, are you here to help me after hearing that I am going to break through the Stone Devil Heavenly Tomb? I'm not. Ning Fan shook his head indifferently. He walked past the crowd and walked towards the giant gate of the tomb palace alone. Immediately, a few life immortal realm experts beside him said with surprise, "What is this person trying to do? Could it be that he wants to break through the Stone Devil Heavenly Tomb with his own strength? With his mid-ghost profound realm cultivation base, he will definitely die if he enters the Stone Devil Heavenly Tomb alone." Huang Xuanzi's eyes turned slightly gloomy and he snorted coldly. Could it be that fellow Taoist wants to break through the heavenly tomb alone? Fellow Taoist, do you know that there is an illusion stone devil that is close to the Dujin realm in this stone devil heavenly tomb? Let me give you a piece of advice. You better not take your own life as a joke. Teaming up with us to break through the heavenly tomb is a wise move. An illusion stone devil that is close to the Dujin realm, huh? Ning Fan's eyes flashed with light, but he did not stop walking. What he wanted was to fight an illusion that had at least this level of strength with all his might. Only by doing so could he completely stabilize the flames of war, and continue to consume the crystals to cultivate. When he arrived at the giant door, Ning Fan handed over the 200,000 Dao crystals that he needed to break through the tomb. At the moment the door opened, he stepped into it. What he saw was a barren land. The ground was filled with broken rocks and broken weapons. On this barren land, there was a gigantic mountain that towered into the sky. It had existed silently for a long time. At the moment when Ning Fan stepped into this place, the devil chi of the mountain manifested. It grew a head and limbs, turning into a 100,000 zhang tall black stone giant. Outside the stone devil heavenly tomb, Huang Xuanzi and the other cultivators wore unpleasant expressions. Especially Huang Xuanzi. He had lowered his status to invite Ning Fan to join his group, but he was actually rejected. Then he tried to persuade Ning Fan with kind words, but the latter did not listen to him. This made him quite dissatisfied with Ning Fan. This young man is just at the mid-ghost profound realm. Challenging the stone devil alone with his cultivation base is just like seeking his own death. Huang Xuanzi harumphed coldly. His face was filled with displeasure. At this moment, an incomparably shrill scream suddenly resounded from inside the stone devil heavenly tomb. However, the scream was not Ning Fan's. The stone devil is actually screaming inside the tomb palace. What exactly happened inside the tomb palace? All of a sudden, Huang Xuanzi's expression changed greatly. As for the cultivators outside the tomb palace, their expressions changed drastically. Chapter 8:12. Inside the heavenly tomb palace, the shockwaves from the battle only subsided after 2 hours. When all the shockwaves dispersed, Ning Fan was standing on top of a gigantic stone head. His hand was holding a relic that was shrouded in black qi. His eyes sparkled. This relic was obtained by killing the illusion stone devil, which was close to the crossing truth realm. Ning Fan did not use any of his heaven-defying trump cards, such as the heaven-holding seal and the west wind technique, to fight against the stone devil. He only used his magic power, which was equivalent to the early crossing truth realm. Even so, Ning Fan still had a one-sided advantage over the stone devil and emerged victorious in the end. The illusion stone devil was also shrieking miserably throughout the battle. It sounded extremely pitiful. So this is the stone devil relic. If a cultivator who cultivates earth elemental cultivation method refines this item, he or she will certainly obtain great benefits. As for me, I have the great 5 elements physique. If I refine this item, my earth elemental physique will improve tremendously. Ning Fan's eyes flashed. In the past, he was always busy and did not have much time to cultivate the great 5 elements physique. Now, besides cultivating the war god art, he could consider cultivating the great 5 elements physique to perfection. The grand formation of the palace flashed, and Ning Fan was teleported back to the outside world. The entire stone devil heavenly tomb gradually entered a dormant state. It would not open again for at least 10 years. When Ning Fan reappeared in front of Huang Xuanzi and the others with the relic in his hand, all the cultivators present were shocked. Huang Xuanzi in particular looked at Ning Fan with a hint of fear in his eyes. He sucked in a breath of cold air and thought to himself, Ning Fan is really powerful. Even though his cultivation base is only at the mid-ghost profound realm, he was able to kill the stone devil and obtain the relic all by himself. Ning Fan just glanced at everyone indifferently and kept the relic. Then he was about to leave. Huang Xuanzi, however, seemed to be struggling. After a while he made up his mind. He took a step forward and cupped his fists at Ning Fan. Fellow Taoist, you don't seem to be a cultivator of the stone devil scripture. I wonder if you can sell this relic to me? Ning Fan gave Huang Xuanzi a meaningful look and said indifferently, I'm not selling it. After hearing what Ning Fan said, Huang Xuanzi gritted his teeth and took out a jade box. He then passed it to Ning Fan along with a storage pouch. In this jade box, there is a 4-star earth element relic called the Rock Demon Relic. There are 500 million Dao gems in this storage pouch. In this tomb world, a 3-star relic would normally only be sold for 500 million Dao gems. This old man is willing to exchange these things for fellow Daoist Stone Devil Relic. At this moment, Huang Xuanzi's face was filled with pain. His own cultivation technique was the Stone Demon Sutra, and he desperately needed a Stone Demon Relic to break through to the next realm. If not for that, he would never be willing to exchange a 4-star relic for a 3-star relic, and he even had to pay 500 million Dao crystals. The market price of a 3-star relic was around 500 million Dao crystal. The market price of a 4-star relic was at least 2 billion Dao crystals. Ning Fan opened the jade box. Through the layers of restrictions on the box, he scanned the Rock Devil Relic inside. The Rock Demon Relic came from the 4th layer of the Rock Demon Heavenly Tomb, and was considered a 4-star relic. In terms of the earth elemental energy, this relic was definitely several times more powerful than the Stone Demon Relic. It's not a loss to exchange for relics. If that's the case, why can't I exchange the relic with you? As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Fan raised his hand and wiped away the restrictions on the jade box. Then he kept the jade box and the storage pouch containing the Dao crystals. Then, he took out the Stone Demon Relic that he had obtained previously, and passed it to Huang Xuanzi. Then he turned around and left. Huang Xuanzi received the Stone Devil Relic. His expression changed again. Even an ordinary cultivator like Du Zhen would not be able to easily erase the restriction on the jade box. However, Ning Fan was able to break it just by raising his hand. Could it be that this man has concealed his cultivation base? Could it be that his true cultivation base is already at the Du Zhen realm? Yes, that must be the case. When he thought of how Ning Fan wanted to challenge the Stone Demon Heavenly Tomb, and how he mocked him, Huang Xuanzi immediately broke out in cold sweat. He actually nearly offended a senior Du Zhen. Luckily, the latter did not seem to have the intention to blame him. The Du Zhen realm, even though it was just one step higher than the Peak Ghost Profound realm, it was a realm that Huang Xuanzi would never be able to achieve in his entire life. Among 100 Peak Ghost Profound realm experts, only one of them would be lucky enough to step into the Du Zhen realm. The rest of them would be trapped outside of the Du Zhen realm for the rest of their lives. As for Huang Xuanzi, he had failed all 9 of his true bridges. He would never be able to break through to the Du Zhen realm in his lifetime. Naturally, Ning Fan did not know what Huang Xuanzi was thinking. After he left the Stone Demon Heavenly Tomb, he did not leave immediately. Instead, he spent 5,000 Dao crystals, and chose one of the many human tombs on the 3rd floor of the Divine Tomb. He then went into seclusion there to refine the Rock Demon Relic. Cultivating Fiend God cultivation methods in the human tombs would usually yield twice the result with half the effort. Compared to the outside world, refining the Fiend God relic here would not waste any of its energy. All of this information was told to Ning Fan by the beautiful lady earlier. Inside one of the human tombs, Ning Fan's eyes glowed with green light as he stared at the Rock Demon Relic, which was shrouded in black qi. With his eyesight, he could naturally see that this Rock Demon Relic contained some Dao Law energy. This Dao Law energy belonged to the category of the Dao Law of Rock. If Ning Fan had cultivated the cultivation method of the Dao Law of Rock before, consuming this relic would give him some additional benefits. But now, consuming this relic could only be used as an Earth Elemental Supreme Treasure to improve the Earth Elemental constitution of his Great 5 Elements body. Ning Fan opened his mouth and swallowed the Rock Demon Relic in one gulp. He sat in this human tomb for 3 days straight. 3 days later, Ning Fan had completely devoured all the energy of this Rock Demon Relic without wasting anything. As for the progress of the Earth Elemental constitution of his Great 5 Elements body, it had also increased from 21% to 31%. Ning Fan was still very satisfied with this result. In his opinion, using the Fiend God relic in this place to cultivate the Great 5 Elements body was obviously more efficient. According to his initial estimation, it would be impossible for him to attain the Great 5 Elements body by relying on ordinary spiritual items of the 5 elements of heaven and earth without at least 1,000,000,000,000 Tao crystals. However, if he were to use the Fiend God relic to cultivate the Great 5 Elements body, he would not even need 100 billion Tao crystals to attain the Great 5 Elements body. Being able to save a large amount of Tao crystals was naturally a good thing. The War God art is a type of secret technique that enhances the physical body. At the end of the day, the stronger the physical body is, the better the effect of this technique will be. As for the cultivation of the Great 5 Elements body, every element that is successfully cultivated can make my physical body improve significantly. If I can completely repair the Great 5 Elements body in this place, I might be able to achieve a breakthrough in the realm of my physical body. When I use the War God art in the future, the effect will also be better. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with determination. He rose to his feet and left this human tomb. 2 hours later, he returned again. He had already purchased a total of 37 4-star relics and 3 5-star relics from the cultivation market on the first level of the Divine Tomb. In the first 3 levels of the Divine Tomb, there were only a few heavenly tombs. Therefore, the number of 1-star to 3-star relics that were produced there was also very little. However, there were a lot of heavenly tombs below the 4th level, and the production of relics was also very high. Therefore, in this world of the Divine Tomb, it would not be difficult to purchase relics that were above 4-star as long as there were enough Tao crystals. Others naturally did not know that Ning Fan was buying the Fiend God relic to cultivate the Great 5 Elements body. They even thought that Ning Fan wanted to cultivate various types of Fiend God cultivation methods. Ning Fan sat in the palace of the human tomb for 3 months. During these 3 months, he did one thing repeatedly, which was to continuously devour the relics and refine them. By refining the relics in this human tomb, a 4-star relic could increase the progress of the cultivator's physique by about 10%. As for a 5-star relic, it was enough to increase the progress of the cultivator's physique by nearly 20%. Time passed day by day. Ning Fan's 5 elemental physiques of metal, wood, water, fire and earth were gradually repaired. When the Great 5 Elements body was repaired one by one, Ning Fan suddenly stood up in the huge human tomb. Essence chi surged around his body, and he transformed into an ancient devil giant that was 800,000 zhang in size. His ancient devil cultivation base was originally at the 4th heavenly layer of the Sichen realm, which was equivalent to the 4th severance of the immortal physique for body cultivators. It was equivalent to the peak human profound realm among cultivators. However, after 3 months of arduous cultivation, the Great 5 Elements body was completely repaired. Even his ancient devil cultivation base had improved greatly. Currently, the essence chi around the ancient devil giant that Ning Fan had transformed into was so strong that it had almost reached the 5th heavenly layer of the Sichen realm. When he raised his hand, the 5 elements of heaven and earth seemed to be flowing in his hand. This was the effect of cultivating the Great 5 Elements body. I still need an opportunity to make a complete breakthrough. Ning Fan kept his ancient devil image and left the human tomb, returning to the first floor once again. This time, he decided to buy a 6-star relic in this place. Relics ranging from 1st to 5-star relic could usually only improve the cultivation progress of Fiend God cultivation methods. However, 6-star relic had additional abilities. Not only could it be used to cultivate cultivation methods, but it could also improve the level of one's physical body by a lot. Because of this magical effect, 6-star relic was usually priceless in this world of the Divine Tomb. Any one of them would be snatched by the body refinement old monsters in this place in a frenzy. A single one of them could be sold for tens of billions of Tao crystals. Previously, when Ning Fan was cultivating the Great 5 Elements body refinement realm, he did not buy a 6-star relic because it was too expensive. The reason why he came to buy it now was because he had no other choice but to break through to the ancient devil realm. On the first floor of the Divine Tomb, there were only a few cultivation shops that sold 6-star relic. All of them were opened by cultivators of the Godly Void Pavilion. After all, only the disciples of the Godly Void Pavilion were qualified to enter the 4th floor and below to challenge the various grave palaces. 3 months ago, when Ning Fan came here to buy relics, he had also seen a 6-star relic for sale. This time, It seemed to be a little unfortunate. He had visited all of the shops and there was only one shop that had a 6-star relic for sale. The owner of this shop was a bald burly man whose body was emitting intense blood chi. He wore a large red cloak, and his cultivation base was at the early crossing truth realm. However, this person's chi was still not very stable. It was obvious that he had just broken through to the crossing truth realm not long ago, and had yet to completely stabilize his cultivation base. When Ning Fan entered the shop, this person was still meditating with his legs crossed. He only moved his eyelids slightly but did not even open his eyes. He did not even look at Ning Fan. However, when Ning Fan walked towards the shelf where the 6-star relic was placed, this person suddenly opened his eyes and said arrogantly, "A junior at the mid-ghost profound realm doesn't have the right to buy this blood devil relic. Get lost." Ning Fan frowned and glanced at the bald burly man. "The reason why you are selling this relic is none other than to earn Dao crystals. I naturally have enough Dao crystals with me. I can buy this relic from you." "I'm not selling it means I'm not selling it. Why are you talking so much nonsense? A mere ghost profound realm cultivator doesn't have the right to buy this item from me." The bald burly man yawned and closed his eyes, no longer paying attention to Ning Fan. "Right. In your opinion, what do you think I should do to be qualified to buy this item?" Ning Fan's tone was still indifferent. The bald burly man immediately opened his eyes and said with a sneer, "I will just sit here. No matter what kind of attack you use, as long as you can make me move half a step, I will sell this item to you. If you can't do it, then get lost. No matter what kind of attack I use." Ning Fan muttered to himself indifferently. His eyes turned sharp and he suddenly raised his hand. The memory-severing Dao sword appeared in his hand. He did not use any of his trump cards. He just activated all of his magic power and channeled it into the sword. At the same time, he channeled all of his essence chi into the sword. Without saying a word, he swung the sword at the bald burly man's head. All of a sudden, an extremely dazzling sword light appeared on the Dao sword. It gathered the powerful power of a cultivator, who cultivated both body and magic power. Countless illusory sword shadows immediately exploded in the small cultivation shop. With the strength of Ning Fan's magic power, the destructive power of his sword had already reached the level of a strike from the Dujin realm. After fusing with the power of his essence chi, there were only a few people who could calmly use the destructive power of this sword among the early Dujin realm cultivators. The bald burly man's expression immediately changed. His eyes were filled with deep astonishment. How could he still be bothered to sit down and cultivate? He immediately leaped out of the shop, trying to avoid the attack of the sword light. At the next moment, the entire shop was razed to the ground by Ning Fan's sword and turned into ruins. Even the sky of the entire cultivation market was filled with Ning Fan's illusory sword chi, which shocked countless cultivators in the market. Above the ruins, Ning Fan held a jade box in his hand. The 6 stars relic that the bald burly man sold just now was placed in the jade box. He stood above the ruins and looked at the bald man in the sky expressionlessly. With a wave of his hand, he tossed the storage pouch which contained 50 billion Dao crystals to the bald man, and turned to leave. The bald burly man was left standing in the sky with a storage pouch in his hand. He looked at the ruins on the ground and then at Ning Fan's back. His eyes were filled with astonishment and fear. On his neck, there was a wound that was neither shallow nor deep. Blood kept flowing out of it. Mid-ghost profound realm cultivator, who cultivates both body and magic power. The destructive power of his sword is even stronger than the Dujin realm. Who is this person? When did such a person appear in the eastern Ming country? That sword strike of his was still merciful. Otherwise, with the speed and fierceness of his attack, he would have most likely beheaded me with a single strike. While the bald burly man was shocked, countless cultivators in the area were also shocked. Who is that white-robed cultivator? He actually managed to injure Yuan Kuang with a single sword attack despite being at the mid-ghost profound realm. The blood slave, Yuan Kuang, was the tombkeeper who ranked 74th in the previous tomb competition. Now that he has broken through to the Dujin realm, I'm afraid it won't be difficult for him to get into the top 50 in this tomb competition. Among the crowd, a mysterious life immortal suddenly said with a solemn expression, This old man always feels that this person's appearance is somewhat familiar. He seems to be similar to the junior whose name shook the Eastern Heaven many years ago. Is he the disciple who joined the Slaughter Palace after slaughtering 100 immortals with his first step cultivation? Today, it has only been less than 100 years, but he has already reached the mid-ghost profound realm. Another person who had been to the Slaughter Palace's disciple recruitment ceremony recognized Ning Fan. What? This person is the old devil Qianqiu, who possesses the God Explosion secret technique that even Du Jun had to avoid. Immediately, a few old monsters exclaimed. After so many years, the name of the old devil Qianqiu was still fresh in the minds of some people. A small number of cultivators gradually recalled the dusty memories of the majority of the cultivators. What happened in the past had shaken the Eastern Heaven. Many old monsters had heard of it. Hearing the name of God Explosion, the crowd was in an uproar. Even the mid and late Duzhen cultivators' expressions changed drastically when they heard the name. At this moment, Yuan Kuang was so shocked that he was speechless. He could never imagine that the cultivator who forced him to retreat with a single sword strike was actually the old devil Qianqiu from many years ago. He still remembered that when Yuan Kuang first received a bounty of 10 billion from Ning Fan in the past, he was slightly tempted and wanted to earn a handsome reward. Fortunately, he had another mission in the Godly Void Pavilion at that time which prevented him from leaving. That was why he did not foolishly go to the Yao Sec Star region to seek his death. Devil Lord Qianqiu. So this person is Devil Lord Qianqiu. Yuan Kuang took out an old bounty from his storage pouch. This bounty had already lost its effect after Ning Fan joined the Slaughter Palace. Looking at the portrait on it, Yuan Kuang could not help but shudder. His heart was still filled with lingering fear. As expected, it's him. The person who defeated all the disciples of the Slaughter Palace of the previous generation, and the successor of the God Explosion secret technique. With a pouch of primordial spirit in his hand, almost no one would dare to do anything to him. In less than 100 years, this person has actually stepped into the second step and cultivated all the way to the mid-ghost profound realm. Just now, I even talked nonsense to him. Luckily, he did not hold it against me. Otherwise, with his ruthlessness that slaughtered hundreds of immortals without batting an eyelid, he would probably take my life. I just took a trip to the gates of hell. What a close shave. Ning Fan did not care about the tremors that were caused in this place. Whether he was a nobody or a world-shocking devil, they were all fake. What he wanted was a substantial increase in his cultivation base. Only then could he protect himself in this cultivation world, which was filled with killing intent at every step. After returning to the human tomb, Ning Fan took out the 6-star blood devil relic and swallowed it in one go. Then his ancient devil incarnation appeared. After consuming this relic, he completely broke through to the 5th heavenly layer of the Sichen realm. An ancient devil aura force that was strong enough to wipe out any early ghost profound realm spread out from Ning Fan's body and filled the entire tomb palace. The ancient devil realm had broken through to the 5th heavenly layer of the Sichen realm. With the current strength of my ancient devil body, my dual cultivation of body and essence, and the grand 5 elements realm, even if I don't use any of my trump cards, I can still kill people like Sun Yan. If I can successfully cultivate the war god transformation, my strength will certainly rise to another level. Now that the flames of war in my body have stabilized, I can return to the Luo clan and consume the crystals to cultivate. Chapter 8:13. After dispersing his ancient devil image, Ning Fan descended to the ground and slowly retracted his surging aura force. The ancient devil's increase in cultivation was extremely beneficial to him. To the current Ning Fan, magic power and body power were no longer two distinct types of power. Previously, when he slashed at Yuan Kuang with his sword, he had used two completely different types of energy, essence chi and magic power. This was something that not every cultivator who cultivated both body and essence could accomplish. However, to Ning Fan, who had already opened the gate of heavenly being, it was naturally not difficult for him to achieve this. After a few more days of seclusion in the human tomb, he finally managed to slightly stabilize his ancient devil cultivation base. Ning Fan didn't leave the grave palace immediately. He stood up and stood in the empty grave palace with his eyes closed. His mind was completely immersed into the yin-yang locket, quietly sensing it. No one knew what he was sensing. No one knew that with the help of the yin-yang locket, he sensed a trace of the ancient chaos aura from the bottom of the god of tomb. That aura seemed to be calling him, guiding him, waiting for him. At this place, Ning Fan felt even more strongly that the yin-yang locket was missing something, longing to be repaired. This trace of qi came from the lower level of the divine tomb. Is it pointing to the other half of the inheritance of the ancient chaos great emperor? Chaos loop art? Ning Fan walked out of the palace tomb and looked at the oval door of light that led to the 4th floor from afar. His eyes narrowed. The oval-shaped door of light on the 4th floor was different from the previous floors. It contained a strand of divine void realm great emperor's divine sense. Only divine void realm cultivators could enter it. If you want to obtain the inheritance, you must first become the tomb keeper of the Luo clan. Ning Fan withdrew his gaze and finally soared into the sky. He turned into a long rainbow and flew away from the divine tomb, speeding through the starry sky. He stepped into the sky and traversed the void, but his eyes gradually showed a hint of determination. Now that he was not a tomb watcher, he could not enter the bottom of the god of tomb to find the inheritance of ancient chaos. He could only put this matter aside for now. However, no matter what, he had to obtain the other half of the ancient chaos martial emperor's inheritance. It was because the two words, ancient chaos, meant too much to him. It had accompanied him all the way till now. That year he obtained the yin-yang locket from Jiha. That year he met the old devil for the first time. Without any fear, he threw a lock at the old devil's head. In the past, the two words ancient chaos to him was just a form of dual cultivation. Unknowingly, the meaning of these two words had already changed. His heart was gradually filled with gratitude and remembrance toward the primordial chaos martial monarch. He was determined to obtain the other half of ancient chaos inheritance. After flying all the way back to Heavenly Sea Star, Ning Fan went straight to the Battle Crystal Palace in Purple Silk City. When he left, he bought a large number of low-tier and mid-tier battle crystals. Along with the remaining battle crystals, he placed them all in the cave on Broken Halberd Peak. Inside the cave, Ning Fan sat cross-legged on a cushion with his eyes closed. His mind was gradually immersed in the battle intent of the Broken Halberd Mountain. His mind seemed to have returned to countless years ago, to the savage battlefield of the Divine Fiend realm. It was as though he could hear the roars of countless cultivators and demons that were filled with boundless battle intent approaching from afar. 3 scarlet flames were circling around his body. A vortex gradually appeared in his body. As the vortex rotated, sparks of battle intent appeared. At this moment, Ning Fan's mind had almost completely merged with the first peak of the Broken Halberd. Without any hesitation, Ning Fan summoned Ghost Face without hesitation. He raised his hand and grabbed pieces of battle crystals, swallowed them and refined them with all his might. He extracted his battle intent and condensed the flames of war. Just like that, he cultivated for 3 whole months. 3 months later, Ning Fan once again reached the upper limit of battle crystals. Currently, the number of flames of battle intent circling around his body had increased to 6. To be precise, it was only the 10th month since he came to the Luo clan. In just 10 months, he had condensed 6 flames of war. This kind of cultivation speed was the best in the Luo clan. No one could compare to him except for the former Battle King Luo Ho. I still need 3 more flames of war. Do I need to fight again? Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He withdrew the flames of war into his body and pondered for a while. Previously, when he went to the Divine Tomb and challenged the Stone Devil Heavenly Tomb, the 4 heavenly tombs on the 3rd floor were in a dormant state. They would not open again for at least 10 years. To him, the 1st and 2nd floors were restricted by his cultivation base. He could not enter them. As for the 4th floor and below, they were restricted by identity. He could only enter after becoming a tomb keeper. This time, it's useless to go to the Divine Tomb if I want to fight again. Other than the Divine Tomb, I wonder where else in the Eastern Ming country can I find a suitable opponent for me to fight with all my strength. Ning Fan kept the remaining battle crystals and pondered in silence. While he was deep in thought, He suddenly frowned and raised his hand to grab something in front of him. In that direction, a sound-transmitting spiritual talisman directly flew into Ningfan's cave residence's formation. The moment the talisman entered Ningfan's hand, it immediately combusted without any fire. At the same time, a slightly arrogant voice of an old man was heard. "Junior, stop your cultivation now and get out of the cave residence. Come to the peak of the second peak of the Broken Halberd Mountain, and fight with me." Even though this voice was not at the early True Crossing realm, it had the aura force of an early True Crossing realm cultivator. This person was at the same Life Immortal realm as Ningfan, but he addressed a Life Immortal realm cultivator as a junior instead of a fellow Taoist. Obviously, he was a person who thought highly of himself. Seeking a battle? That's exactly what I wanted. However, this person's tone is a little too arrogant. Ningfan frowned slightly. He walked out of the cave residence and leaped into the air, reaching the peak of the second peak in the blink of an eye. On the peak of the second peak, a white-haired old man with strong muscles was standing with his hands clasped behind his back. With Ningfan's eyesight, he could tell that this person was a peak ghost profound realm cultivator at first glance. Even though his cultivation base was at the peak of the ghost profound realm, his body refinement realm was not weak either. It had already reached the 5th severance of the immortal body refinement realm. With the dual cultivation of body and essence, his aura force was comparable to that of the Stone Devil in the Stone Devil Heavenly Tomb. It was just enough for Ningfan to fight and stabilize the flames of war. "You are the guest elder recommended by Luo Xiao? Do you know the rules of my Broken Halberd Mountain?" The old man said arrogantly. Sensing Ningfan's mid-ghost profound realm chi, the old man was slightly displeased. Isn't mid-ghost profound realm a little too weak? Has this young man really defeated Luo Xiao before? The reason why he sought this young man for a battle was to seek a breakthrough. The rules of the Broken Halberd Mountain? May I know what are the rules of this Broken Halberd Mountain? Ningfan asked expressionlessly. You have just become a guest elder of the Luo clan for less than 10 months. It's not strange that you don't know the rules of the Broken Halberd Mountain. We, the guest elders of the Luo clan, live in the 3 peaks of the Broken Halberd Mountain. There is an unwritten rule here. If the cultivators of the 3rd peak cultivate to the upper limit of the crystals, they can seek a battle from the cultivators of the 2nd peak, and the 1st peak to stabilize the flames of war. The other party must not refuse. No matter if the other party is at a critical juncture in their cultivation, they must accept the challenge unconditionally. Naturally, the cultivators of the 2nd peak also have the right to seek a battle from the cultivators of the 1st peak. As for the cultivators of the 1st peak, they don't have any rights at all. I, Wang Meng, am a cultivator of the 2nd peak. As for you, you are just a cultivator of the 1st peak. As he said this, the old man named Wang Meng's face suddenly revealed a hint of arrogance. The way he looked at Ningfan was filled with slight contempt. All the guest elders of the Luo clan lived in the 3 peaks of the Broken Halberd Mountain. Those who cultivated in seclusion on the 1st peak were the guest elders of the Luo clan, who had yet to cultivate to the 1st transformation. Most of them were at the Mortal Profound Realm, while only a few of them were at the Ghost Profound Realm. Those who cultivated in seclusion on the 2nd peak were the guest elders who had cultivated to the 1st transformation. Most of them were at the Ghost Profound Realm. As for those who cultivated in seclusion on the 3rd peak, they were all guest elders who had cultivated to the 2nd transformation. There were only 3 of them. All of them were early True Crossing Realm cultivators. There was an unwritten rule among the guest elders of the Broken Halberd Mountain. The cultivators who cultivated to the High Transformation Realm had the right to let the cultivators of the Low Transformation Realm spar with them. The Luo clan had also tacitly agreed to this rule. Previously, when Ningfan asked Luo Xiao where he could seek a battle, Luo Xiao thought that Ningfan had yet to cultivate to the 1st transformation. Thus, he did not tell him about this rule, and only told him about the Divine Tomb. There are originally only 4 Ghost Profound Realm cultivators on the 1st peak. Including you, there are 5 of us. The other 4 Ghost Profound Realm cultivators have already fought with me countless times. As for you, it's your first time. Don't be afraid. I will naturally show mercy when I fight with you. Wang Meng clenched his fists so hard that his knuckles made cracking sounds. The way he looked at Ning Fan carried a hint of contempt. Ning Fan had experienced this kind of contempt many times in the Luo clan. All of a sudden, Wang Meng's eyes changed. His eyes were filled with monstrous battle intent. The corners of his mouth curved into a cold smile. To him, as long as he didn't kill his opponent, even if he destroyed his opponent's physical body and left only his primordial spirit, it could also be considered as showing mercy. An aura force that was close to the Duzhen realm spread out from Wang Meng's body once again. It spread across the 3 peaks of the broken halberd, and even the entire Violet Silk City. Oh, it's Wang Meng again? Is he looking for a cultivator of the first peak to fight with him again? I wonder which unlucky fellow he is looking for this time. I remember that the last time was 15 years ago. He was looking for Meng Xiao of the first peak. Both of them were at the peak of the Ghost Profound Realm, but he actually suppressed Meng Xiao and destroyed half of his physical body. In the cave of the second peak, many cultivators sent out their spirit sense and scanned the peak of the mountain. When they found that the person standing opposite of Wang Meng was Ning Fan, they were stunned. Isn't this person the one recommended by Luo Xiao? Putting aside whether this person's aptitude in cultivating battle techniques, his cultivation base alone is much weaker than Wang Meng's. This person probably can't withstand a single blow from Wang Meng. I'm afraid that he will be completely destroyed by Wang Meng if he's not careful. Not only the cultivators of the second peak, but also the cultivators of the first peak also spread out their spirit sense and scanned the peak of the second peak. Many of the cultivators of the first peak had suffered in Wang Meng's hands before. Therefore, when they first sensed Wang Meng's aura force, they felt a lingering fear in their hearts. They were afraid that they would be challenged by Wang Meng again. However, when they found out that Wang Meng had already found Ning Fan to fight, they heaved a sigh of relief. Many of them were gloating over Wang Meng's misfortune. With this person in front of us, we won't have to worry anymore. On the first peak, only Meng Xiao, who was at the peak of the Ghost Profound Realm, had a solemn look on his face. At this moment, he was holding the self-made Warfire compass in his hand. He was casting an incantation to sense something. There were already 6 faint traces of fire flickering on the compass. 6 traces of Warfire. Last time, this person only had 3 traces of Warfire. This time he has already cultivated to 6 traces of Warfire. After recovering from his shock, Meng Xiao kept the compass and sighed. This Ning Fan's aptitude in cultivating the War God art is definitely the best in the Luo clan. However, his cultivation base is just at the mid-Ghost Profound Realm after all. I'm afraid he won't be able to defeat Wang Meng. Wang Meng's physique is one of the 5 types of combat bodies. With the help of the first transformation of the War God, he is almost invincible among the Ghost Profound Realm experts. Moreover, he is highly valued by some old monsters of the Luo clan. Meng Xiao's eyes flashed with anger when he thought of the time when Wang Meng destroyed half of his physical body. However, when he thought of Wang Meng's strength and the few Duzhen of the Luo clan behind him, Meng Xiao immediately let out a sigh and closed his eyes. He did not continue to pay attention to the battle between Ning Fan and Wang Meng. In his opinion, there was almost no suspense in the outcome of this battle. In the Purple Silk City, many cultivators of the Luo clan spread out their spirit sense to observe Wang Meng's every move. There were even a few Duzhen of the Luo clan who were in seclusion. However, the moment they sensed the battle, they all came out of seclusion and paid great attention to Wang Meng. Is it Wang Meng again? This person is the only person who possesses the combat body that our Luo clan has found so far. Even though he is the weakest of the 5 types of combat bodies, it is still extremely rare. This person is already not far away from attaining the second transformation of his combat art. Even though the possibility of him attaining the 4th transformation within 100 years is slim, it is much higher than the other foreign retainers. Compared to this, the life and death of the foreign retainer, who is fighting against him, are not that important. A few Duzhen thought. In the entire Purple Silk City, almost none of the cultivators who were paying attention to this battle thought that Ning Fan could defeat Wang Meng. Only Luo Xiao, who introduced him to the Luo clan, had great confidence in him. There was another person who also had great confidence in him. She was the young lord of the Luo clan, Luo Xian. At this moment, Luo Xian was leaning against a green vine tree in the purple silk city. She spread out her spirit sense to observe the situation on the second peak. Originally, she just wanted to pay attention to Wang Meng. However, when she saw the appearance of the white-robed cultivator opposite Wang Meng, her beautiful eyes immediately widened in shock. It's him. The person from the Heavenly Eye Star Trading Pavilion. He is actually the foreign retainer that Luo Xiao introduced. In the past, Luo Xian had never paid attention to this person after she heard that the person Luo Xiao recommended was not the possessor of the combat body. She certainly did not expect that the person she met in the Heavenly Eye Star that day would be the same person that Luo Xiao recommended. This time, I'm afraid Wang Meng is going to suffer a loss. Luo Xian thought to herself. Suddenly, she took out the piece of white cloth that she picked up that day and frowned. Then she untied it. No, it can't be him. This person appeared in the Heavenly Eye Star and the Heavenly Sea Star one after another. The giant pit also appeared one after another. This should just be a coincidence. No matter how strong he is, it's impossible for him to display the escaping light of the 10,000 ancient realm. On the second peak of the Broken Halberd Mountain, countless spirit scents swept past Ningfan, and then moved away. Ningfan's brows were tightly knitted together. This was the first time he received the attention of so many cultivators of the Luo clan. However, this attention did not originate from the fact that they valued him. Wang Meng's aura force became stronger and stronger. His eyes also became sharper and sharper. Junior, I'm going to attack now. You must be careful not to die under this old man's fist light. If you want to blame someone, blame the rules of the Broken Halberd Mountain. It's not up to the cultivators of the first peak to say no to us cultivators of the second peak. Wang Meng laughed. His cloudy eyes were filled with confidence. The strong muscles on his body emitted explosive energy. He raised his hand and the runes of the false devil talisman swam on his arm. Then his entire right arm petrified and was covered with layers of stone skin. This Wang Meng was also a false ancient devil realm cultivator. The tip of Wang Meng's foot touched the ground. A huge force immediately spread across the entire second peak. Mountain rocks rolled down crazily, and the entire second peak turned into a cloud of dust. Using the tip of his foot, Wang Meng's body immediately turned into an afterimage and dashed towards Ningfan. A punch landed. Countless cultivators held their breaths when they saw this punch. Wang Meng's punch actually contained a trace of essence qi and magic power. The strength of this punch was infinitely close to the strength of Du Zhen's attack. No one thought that Ningfan would be able to take this punch head-on, especially Wang Meng. He was extremely confident in his punch. Facing Wang Meng's attack, he did not retreat. Instead, he advanced. On his arm, there were also devil talisman runes covering his entire arm bit by bit. Those runes were ancestral talismans. His eyes turned solemn. All of a sudden, his body erupted with an earth-shattering ancient devil aura force. He threw a punch at Wang Meng's fist light. His mouth was filled with disdain, as if he was muttering to himself. The rules of Broken Halberd Mountain can't restrict me. You are also not my opponent. Ningfan's essence qi scattered wildly as he threw this punch. It was as if he was going to suppress the entire heaven and earth. A trace of devil sense flashed across his eyes. Then, devil qi spread across the entire heaven and earth as if the entire heaven and earth could not withstand the fists of a real ancient devil. He was the real ancient devil. Unfortunately, no one could see through this. In the eyes of the world, he was just a false ancient devil. However, this punch was destined to overturn all of the Luo clan's underestimation of him. At this moment, the expressions of all the cultivators who believed that Wang Meng would win easily changed greatly. Under the attack of Ningfan's ancient devil fist light, an unimaginable destructive force heavily smashed on Wang Meng's body like heaven and earth. At this moment, Wang Meng's petrified arm was peeled off crazily. The false devil talisman runes on his arm were scattered by Ningfan's punch, revealing faint fear. Wang Meng did not even have the time to put up any defense. He was already sent flying like a meteor. His body was in unbearable pain. Injuries appeared on his limbs and bones. Every time he flew a certain distance, he would spurt out a large amount of blood. At this moment, there was no longer any arrogance in his expression. It was completely replaced by shock. Under this destructive force, the entire sky was trembling. It was as if there was only Ning Fan's fist light that reverberated between heaven and earth. The sharpness of this fist light was unstoppable, unless one was a true cultivator of the Dujin realm. This young man is obviously just at the mid-ghost profound realm. How could he be so strong? In the extreme cold palace, the sixth ancestor of the Luo clan, who had never opened his eyes in front of Ning Fan, opened his eyes in shock for the first time. His eyes were filled with unconcealable shock. He had never seen a mid-ghost profound realm cultivator as strong as Ning Fan in his entire life. Ning Fan could deliver such a powerful punch. What shocked him the most was the essence chi and aura force on Ning Fan's body. The sixth ancestor of the Luo clan was also a false ancient devil cultivator. He was strong enough to look down on ordinary body refinement cultivators. However, under Ning Fan's devil might, the false devil talisman in his body actually showed signs of instability. Chapter 8:14. Wang Meng was sent flying by Ning Fan's punch. He coughed out blood and managed to stabilize himself with great difficulty. However, he was already heavily injured. He stood in the sky with his hand on his chest and looked at Ning Fan, who was standing on the peak below. His eyes were filled with fear and dread. He originally came to the first peak to seek a battle. However, he did not expect to be defeated by Ning Fan's punches in the first round. Even though he was extremely arrogant, he knew that Ning Fan was much stronger than him. If they continued to fight, he would probably suffer a greater loss. Humph! Your abilities are amazing. I'm ashamed of my inferiority. Farewell. Wang Meng's expression darkened. He turned around and wanted to return to his cave residence to heal his injuries. Ning Fan leaped and appeared in the sky, blocking Wang Meng's path, and said coldly, "You may have had enough, but I haven't. This battle was started by you, but it's not up to you to stop it. I'll give you a chance. Show me all your abilities and fight me." Devil intent flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. His tone seemed to be influenced by the devil intent of the ancient devil. It carried a disdainful aura and a domineering aura that could not be rejected. Wang Meng did not show any mercy when he attacked just now. This could not be hidden from Ning Fan's eyes. If Ning Fan was really an ordinary ghost profound realm expert, he would probably be heavily injured by Wang Meng's punch. Since the other party was ruthless, Ning Fan naturally would not show any mercy. As a foreign elder of the Luo clan, Ning Fan would not go so far as to kill Wang Meng. However, it was suitable to use this person to stabilize the flames of war. There was no need to show mercy to this person. It was fine as long as he did not kill him. After all, this person was ruthless first. Ning Fan would only be 100 times more ruthless. Moreover, Ning Fan wanted to use this battle to establish his prestige in the Luo clan. If the Luo clan only looked down on him, he would not mind if they ignored him. However, what he disliked was that Wang Meng used the rules of the Luo clan to suppress him and force him to fight. He did not like people who used their power to suppress others. Moreover, it was Wang Meng who came today. There might be others who would come tomorrow. Instead of being challenged every day, it was better to shut everyone up once and for all. Wang Meng's expression changed after hearing this. His eyes turned gloomy and he sneered. "How arrogant of you. Do you know that according to the rules of the Broken Halberd Peak, with your identity as a disciple of the first peak?" Before Wang Meng could finish his words, his expression suddenly changed. Without saying anything, he raised his hand and shot out a black light. Ning Fan did not care about Wang Meng's words at all. He directly launched another punch at Wang Meng with a tremendous force. To Ning Fan, the rules of Broken Halberd Peak were not enough to restrain him. The chi of the fist seemed as if it. The fist Wang Heaven Fan's fist. Meng Tian Heaven and the family. And Wang Meng's. Wang Fan's up with a, of. And Wang Fan's he Wang Fan's s Wang and up. Wang. Fan Meng Fu Sun he Fan Chen Wang Men Shan Fan and he and suddenly appeared. This he Yen. Ji he and the sun he. He Meng's a. The shield was extremely powerful. It had helped Wang Meng block all attacks from the true crossing realm, and saved his life many times. However, under Ning Fan's punch, the black flame iron wall that was transformed from the shield immediately trembled violently and burst into countless fragments. The aftershock of the fist Wang Meng's fist immediately rushed towards Wang Meng. How dare you? How dare you disregard the rules of the broken halberd peak and attack me without my permission? Wang Meng was infuriated. He had to admit that Ning Fan's strength was much stronger than his. However, he was a combat body cultivator and a distinguished guest of the Luo clan. He was highly valued by the Luo clan. He was used to being arrogant. He had never been treated like this before. Ning Fan had disregarded the rules of the broken halberd peak and attacked him. He even destroyed his shield. Wang Meng was infuriated. Wang Meng shouted. His old eyes glared at Ning Fan. Suddenly, his eyes were burning with the flames of war. His white hair turned blood red in an instant and grew longer at a crazy speed. His muscles that were originally strong became even thicker. His physical body had also grown twice its size in an instant. Green veins bulged on his forehead. His physical body, which was originally at the fifth severance of the immortal body realm, was now emitting an aura force that was close to the seventh severance of the immortal body realm. This change was because Wang Meng had used the first transformation of the battle art. After using the secret technique, Wang Meng's aura force was almost as strong as Du Jun's. He raised his hand and punched, dispersing the aftershock of Ning Fan's fist. He was so angry that he laughed and rushed towards Ning Fan. The fear he had towards Ning Fan had completely disappeared after he used the War God art. His eyes were filled with raging battle intent. This was also the effect of the War God art. Risking one's life. Let this old man teach you the meaning of rules. Wang Meng let out a devil roar. Suddenly, 6 thick arms grew out from his back. He had 8 arms in total, making him look like a devil god. He took a step forward and threw out 8 punches at the same time. His punches were like a rainstorm. Immediately, the devil shadow of an 8-armed devil god appeared between heaven and earth. 8 extremities combat physique. Countless cultivators in the Luo clan exclaimed in surprise, revealing the name of Wang Meng's ability. A devil light flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. The ancestral talisman devil marks on his arms wriggled again, and spread to his entire body, covering it instantly. Then he waved his hand. A tremendous force that seemed to be able to hold up the entire heaven and earth turned into a huge devil hand that slammed down on Wang Meng. Wang Meng's 8 extremities fist rain was immediately dispersed by Ning Fan's palm. The sound of the fist light being destroyed reverberated in the sky. An enormous force once again smashed onto his chest. In an instant, Wang Meng's face was filled with shock. In the next moment, he felt a sharp pain assault him, and his body was involuntarily sent flying like a kite with its string cut. A crack also appeared on the shadow of the 8-armed devil god behind him. But strangely enough, his body did not suffer any injuries this time. Even so, Wang Meng was still frightened. Ning Fan's palm had once again destroyed the little bit of battle intent that he had just gathered. 8 extremities combat physique. His battle shadow is indestructible and his physical body is unharmed. It's a mysterious physique. Unfortunately, the person who possesses it is too weak. Ning Fan suddenly raised his hand and grabbed Wang Meng across the sky. The devil light immediately turned into a huge hand. It grabbed and pulled Wang Meng towards the blood-red mountain that was far away. The force of the smash immediately raised a few mountains to the ground and turned them into ruins. Wang Meng was smashed into a mess. Even though he was not injured, the cracks on the shadow of the devil god behind him increased again. Before he could get up from the ruins, Ning Fan clawed down with his 5 fingers again. Immediately, another huge devil-like claw appeared and dragged Wang Meng into the sky. Then, Wang Meng was smashed into the ground with all his strength. Under the repeated collisions, the mountains were instantly destroyed. The tremendous force of the collisions landed on Wang Meng's body. Even though he was not injured, cracks kept appearing on his 8-armed battle shadow. After more than 10 collisions, the shadow of the 8-armed devil god could no longer withstand Wang Meng's injuries. With a loud bang, it shattered into countless shadows and vanished. However, Ning Fan did not stop there. He kept smashing Wang Meng to the ground. Every time he smashed his body, Wang Meng's bones and tendons would be broken, and he would spurt out blood. As for the 6 flames of war in his body, they were gradually stabilizing. The ground kept shaking and the mountains kept crumbling. The hearts of the cultivators in the area also tightened as Wang Meng was smashed into the ground again and again. When they looked at Ning Fan again, their expressions kept changing. At this moment, Wang Meng had almost turned into a bloody man. Due to his severe injuries, he had no choice but to withdraw from the first transformation. At this moment, there was no longer any arrogance in his eyes. There was only fear, and he kept begging for mercy. Stop smashing! Stop smashing! Fellow Taoists, please have mercy, please have mercy. It's my fault. I shouldn't have disturbed your seclusion and forced you to fight me. Do you want the Tao crystals? I'm willing to compensate you with 3 billion Tao crystals. This is all this old man has right now. Fellow Taoists can have it. I just hope that you can let me go. I'll call you Grandpa. I'll call you Grandpa, all right. If fellow Taoist continues to smash me like this, I'm going to die here. I'm willing to be fellow Taoist slave for 100 years. No, 1,000 years. No, a lifetime. Fellow Taoist, please stop. Stop it. At this moment, Wang Meng was really afraid of Ning Fan. In order to beg for mercy, he almost said everything he could. Ning Fan did not care about Wang Meng's begging. Suddenly, his eyes flashed with surprise and he looked at Purple Silk City thoughtfully. After a while, Ning Fan's eyes flashed and he finally stopped attacking Wang Meng. His body descended and landed in the middle of the rubble. He indifferently glanced at Wang Meng, who was like a pile of mud. After pondering for a while, he spread out his spirit sense and actually planted a mental seal in Wang Meng's sea of consciousness. His eyes were still looking at the direction of Purple Silk City. At this moment, Wang Meng really had the urge to slap his own mouth. When he said that he wanted to be Ning Fan's slave, he was just spouting nonsense in a moment of desperation. He did not expect that Ning Fan would actually take it seriously and really want to keep him as a slave. Having reached his current cultivation realm, he could be considered as a famous old monster with a high status. Although his name might not be known throughout the Eastern Heaven, he could still be considered as a powerful expert. How could he be willing to be someone else's slave? However, Ning Fan's spirit sense had already invaded his sea of consciousness, intending to plant a mental seal. It was already too late for Wang Meng to regret his decision now. When he met Ning Fan's cold eyes, he suddenly shivered. He had an intuition that if he resisted Ning Fan's mental seal, he would definitely end up in a miserable state. Damn it! Why didn't the Luo clan come to help me at such a critical moment? Am I not a combat body cultivator that the Luo clan respects as a distinguished guest? Don't I have 4 referrals from Duzhen? Why haven't the 4 of them helped me until now? Wang Meng gritted his teeth and spread out his spirit sense towards Purple Silk City. But this sweep of spirit sense had turned his last hope into nothingness. He had 4 referrals. These 4 people were the ones who helped him to run rampant in Broken Halberd Mountain in the past. However, at this moment, the 4 of them seemed to be frozen in place. They could not move at all. Their expressions were bitter, and they could not help him at all. The 4 of them were suppressed by an extremely vast Tao sense, as if they were carrying a heavy mountain. They were suppressed in Purple Silk City and could not help Wang Meng at all. The 4 of them weren't the only ones who were suppressed by the Tao sense. At this very moment, the entire Violet Silk City was suppressed by an invisible Tao sense. Under the Void Rend, no one could take half a step forward, let alone resist the suppression of the Tao sense to help Wang Meng. The only thing that all the cultivators of the Luo clan could do was to watch Ning Fan teach Wang Meng a lesson. No one could help him. The one who spread his Tao sense was an old man in green robes. Beside him was an immortal crane that was riding on a mount. On the other side, there were 5 Shekongers who were waiting respectfully. They were the 5 old ancestors of the Luo clan, who had hurriedly come out from their seclusion to welcome Ning Fan. If it wasn't because of this old man who suppressed the entire Purple Silk City, the Luo clan might have sent someone to help Wang Meng. The old man wore a dark green silk scarf on his head. His white hair reached the ground, giving him the air of an immortal. He was standing under an old pine tree that required 3 people to encircle it. His palm was stroking the top of the immortal crane. His eyes were filled with benevolence. That smile was directed at Ning Fan alone. Luo Xiao has a good eye. He actually found this person. The old man muttered to himself with a smile. The old man had an early thought fragmentation realm cultivation base. He was only a step away from the mid-thought fragmentation realm. In the entire eastern sky, this person could be considered a person whose prestige spread far and wide. His name was Luo Shi. He was the clan leader of the Luo clan, and also the 9th elder of the Godly Void Pavilion. With his cultivation base, he only needed a single thought to suppress the cultivators of the Luo clan. Seeing that it was Luo Shi who suppressed the entire Luo clan, and helped Ning Fan to deal with him, Wang Meng immediately became dejected and felt helpless. There were countless cultivators who were paying attention to this battle. However, at this moment, Wang Meng felt like he was abandoned by the entire world. He was the only one left in this boundless world, lonely and powerless. He was not Ning Fan's opponent. If the Luo clan also refused to help him, he could only accept his fate and let Ning Fan plant the restrictive spell on him. However, it was obvious that Luo Shi did not have the intention to withdraw his Dao sense. No one in the Luo clan would come to help him. This old man's mouth. Why did I say that I'm a slave? I'm really asking for trouble. Wang Meng let out a long sigh. It was too late for regrets. However, he could only let Ning Fan plant the restrictive spell on him. With this type of restrictive spell, he would be Ning Fan's slave from now on. The regret in his heart was like a river bursting its banks. It was uncontrollable. However, what Wang Meng could not understand was that Luo Shi actually suppressed the entire Luo clan, and did not allow anyone to help him. He was the only cultivator with a combat body in the Luo clan. Why was he abandoned by Luo Shi? Ning Fan also could not understand this point. Even the entire Luo clan could not understand it. Clan leader, why did you stop us from helping and let this young man plant the restrictive spell on Wang Meng? That Wang Meng is the only cultivator with a combat body in our Luo clan. The 5 Shikong of the Luo clan looked at their clan leader, Luo Shi, in confusion. That Wang Meng has repeatedly attacked the guest elders of the first peak. Now it can be considered as his retribution. He only has himself to blame. To him, being planted with a restrictive spell is already considered a very light punishment. Luo Shi's eyes turned sharp as he answered. However, that Wang Meng is the possessor of the 8 extremities combat body. He might be the hope to save the combat king. Hope, huh? Compared to that Wang Meng, I feel that the guest elder recommended by Luo Xiao this time has a higher chance of attaining the 4th transformation of his combat arts. Luo Shi stopped talking and did not continue his sentence. That Ning Fan doesn't have a combat body. Clan leader seems to think too highly of him. One of the Shikong of the Luo clan said with dissatisfaction. Luo Shi smiled and did not answer him. He just took out a jade slip and passed it to the 5 Shikong. This is the information that Luo Xiao reported to me. If I didn't receive this jade slip, I wouldn't have taken the time to rush back to the Luo clan despite my busy schedule. The 5 Shikong's eyes were filled with doubt. They scanned the contents of the jade slip with their spirit sense. As soon as they finished reading it, their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. What they found the most unbelievable was a sentence in the jade slip. The guest elder of the Luo clan, Ning Fan, has already attained his first natal combat fire after becoming a guest elder for just 3 months. Impossible. In the history of our Luo clan, there are many cultivators who have cultivated the war god art. However, none of them has such a terrifying cultivation speed. You should know that even the combat king had to cultivate for a whole year just to attain his first natal combat fire. One of the Shikong's old ancestors immediately refuted. Whether this young man has such a cultivation speed or not, we will know after verifying it later. Luo Shi did not want to say anything else. With a thought, he released all the Dao sense that was suppressing the Violet Silk City. Then he gave an order to all the cultivators in the city. My return today is just temporary. I will leave in a few days to continue assisting in the restoration of the heaven-suppressing bell. Before that, all the second-step cultivators and guest elders of the Luo clan are to come to the secret hall immediately. I have something to announce. As soon as he finished speaking, Luosher looked at the direction of the ruins with a meaningful look. The person he was looking at was still Ningfan. All the second-step cultivators of the Luo clan immediately rushed to the secret hall when they heard that their clan leader had something to announce. Even the guest elders of the Luo clan who were in seclusion in their cave residences also came out and rushed to the secret hall. I didn't expect that the clan leader of the Luo clan would actually help me, Ningfan muttered to himself. When Luosher arrived at the Violet Silk City and suppressed the entire city with his Dao sense, Ningfan had already sensed his arrival. As soon as he made his move, he suppressed the entire Luo clan, not allowing any cultivators to help Wang Meng. His every move seemed to be tacitly allowing Ningfan to help Wang Meng. He did not even try to hide his goodwill towards Ningfan. Ningfan did not have the intention to plant the restrictive spell on Wang Meng. The reason why he suddenly did it was to test Luosher's bottom line. What surprised Ningfan was that Luosher did not show the slightest displeasure, or stop him even after he had planted the restrictive spell on Wang Meng. At this moment, most of the second-step cultivators in the Luo clan had already followed Luosher's order and rushed to the secret hall of the Luo clan. Ningfan remained silent for a while. Then he grabbed Wang Meng, who was covered in wounds, from the ground and ordered indifferently, "Lead the way to the secret hall." Ningfan's tone towards Wang Meng was not polite at all. From the moment he planted the restrictive spell on him, Wang Meng had already become his slave. Wang Meng's cultivation base was not enough to enter Ningfan's eyes. To him, this person was dispensable and he could kill him whenever he wanted. At this moment, Wang Meng's expression was extremely bitter. The restrictive spell in his sea of consciousness kept reminding him that he could not disobey Ningfan's orders. He consumed a pill to temporarily suppress his injuries. Then, he let out a long sigh and flew towards the Violet Silk City with Ningfan. Along the way, the cultivators and the guest elders of the Luo clan looked at Ningfan with either respect or fear. They no longer looked down on him like before. The strength that Ningfan had displayed in this battle was really terrifying. Perhaps even a true Duzhen cultivator would not be as strong as him. What puzzled them the most was that the Luo clan lord, Luosher, had quietly suppressed all the cultivators of the Luo clan and tacitly allowed Ningfan to attack Wang Meng. He even became Ningfan's backer. This point made the crowd speculate about Ningfan's identity. Their fear towards Ningfan deepened. The secret hall of the Luo clan was located in the forbidden area of the Violet Silk City. It was heavily guarded, and was the place where the cultivators of the Luo clan discussed matters. When Ningfan arrived, hundreds of second-step cultivators in the secret hall fixed their eyes on him at the same time. There were also many guest elders of the Luo clan who were gloating when they saw Wang Meng's miserable appearance. Most of these cultivators were the guest elders of the first peak. Meng Xiu was one of them. Meng Xiu looked at the heavily injured Wang Meng, who was following behind Ningfan. He almost had the urge to laugh out loud. 15 years ago, Wang Meng had come to him and challenged him to a battle using the rules of the Broken Halberd Peak. That battle had destroyed half of his physical body. After that, he cultivated arduously for many years and consumed countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures to restore his physical body. Meng Xiu was naturally in a good mood when he finally got his retribution for the tyrant in the past. When he looked at Ningfan's expression again, he could not help but have a good impression of him. Ningfan ignored the gazes of the crowd and walked towards where Luo Xiao was standing. When Luo Xiao saw Ningfan walking towards him, he immediately cupped his fists and smiled. Just as he was about to say something, an old man in the hall coughed softly. It was Luosher, the clan lord of the Luo clan. Immediately, all the cultivators turned silent and looked at the old man. Even Luo Xiao could not help but smile helplessly and swallow all the words he wanted to say. Haha, it seems that almost everyone has arrived. In that case, this old man will be able to select the 8 tomb guardians of my Battle King Luo clan from amongst everyone present. As soon as Luosher said that, many cultivators of the Luo clan revealed an excited look. The moment Ningfan heard this, his brows knitted tightly. It was beyond his expectation that the Luo clan would choose the tomb guardians at this moment. He had yet to successfully cultivate the first transformation of his battle art. Therefore, he was not qualified to participate in the competition for the tomb guardians. Chapter 8:15. Ning Fan frowned. Luo Xiao, who was beside him, immediately saw through his worry and transmitted his voice to him. Don't worry, fellow Taoist. I have already reported to the Patriarch about your request for the position of Tomb Keeper of Luo clan. The reason why the Patriarch returned today is to give fellow Taoist a position. Otherwise, there is no need for him to come back personally. It's fine even if you haven't mastered the first form of the God of War. Is that so? As soon as Ning Fan heard Luo Xiao's words, not only did he not feel relieved, but his frown deepened. Luo Shi stroked his beard and let the cultivators of the secret hall discuss among themselves. After a long time, he coughed softly. Immediately, the secret hall fell silent again. Even the 5 Shikong didn't dare to speak anymore. Luo Shifu spoke again as his gaze swept across the cultivators in the hall. In this year's tomb competition, our Luo clan has a total of 8 tomb keepers. I came back to Heavenly Sea Star this time to inform you of the start time of the tomb contest and select 8 tomb keepers with Miss Xian. Luo Shi smiled politely at Luo Xian. Luo Xian walked out of the crowd and stood shoulder to shoulder with Luo Shi. She still had a prideful temperament, but she still bowed respectfully to Luo Shi. That respect came from the bottom of her heart. Occasionally, a few guests that had just entered the Luo clan not long ago suddenly heard Luo Shi's way of addressing Luo Xian, and all of them were stunned and puzzled. Even Ning Fan revealed a strange expression on his face. Miss Xian. Ning Fan's eyes flashed as he pondered over how Luo Shi addressed Luo Xian. Luo Shi was the Luo family's patriarch while Luo Xian was the young master. However, Luo Shi addressed Luo Xian as Miss. Fellow Taoist, you may not know this, but among the descendants of the battle monarch, the young master's bloodline is most similar to that of the battle monarchs. The family head, on the other hand, is not a descendant of the battle monarch. In fact, he is not even a cultivator of our Luo clan. Rather, he is a servant of the battle monarch. The patriarch has followed the battle king for his entire life. After the battle king fell into a deep slumber, he swore an oath that he would succeed as the patriarch of the Luo clan, just to protect the descendants of the battle king and wait for the battle king to wake up. Although the patriarch's cultivation base is high and his identity is illustrious, he has always been very polite to the descendants of the battle king. In the Luo clan, the one who wants the battle king to wake up the most is the patriarch. Seeing the doubt in Ning Fan's eyes, Luo Xiao explained to him through telepathy. After hearing his words, Ning Fan's expression changed slightly and he looked at Luo Shi. This Luo Shi was the patriarch of the Luo clan, the 9th elder of the Godly Void Pavilion, and the servant of the battle king. When the battle king was unconscious, he protected the Luo clan on behalf of his master. He treated the battle king's descendants well, and waited for his master to wake up. His loyalty was unwavering. In the cultivation world, there weren't many servants as loyal as Luo Shi. There were even fewer of them who still cared about their past relationship despite their illustrious status. Luo Shi was an early thought fragmentation realm cultivator. His cultivation base was 3 major realms higher than Ning Fan's. Previously, Ning Fan could not see the outline of Luo Shi's Dao clearly. Now, after listening to Luo Xiao's words, and looking at the Dao runes surrounding Luo Shi's body, he gained some understanding. If I'm not mistaken, this person's Dao should be the Dao of loyalty. Loyalty to him is his everything. But within this loyalty, there's also loneliness, remorse and longing for his master. Ning Fan's eyes flickered with green light as he carefully read Luo Shi's Dao rune. Luo Shi nodded at Ning Fan with a smile as if he sensed something. Among the group of cultivators, a member of the Luo clan whose face was filled with excitement suddenly took a step forward and bowed respectfully to Luo Shi and Luo Xian. Clan Lord, may I ask when exactly will the tomb competition begin? What are the criteria for the 8 tomb guardians? Will it be the same as the previous years? As soon as the person asked the question, the entire secret hall immediately fell silent. Everyone was waiting for Luo Shi's answer. The tomb competition has been set to be held 10 years later. It's the season when the fog covers the eastern sea. Therefore, there won't be any primordial spirit wine as a reward in this tomb competition. Luo Shi was halfway through his words when a cultivator exclaimed, 10 years. It's actually brought forward. Another cultivator said thoughtfully, Is the tomb competition brought forward for the sake of the hearts of the cultivators in Ndong? After the chaos, the hearts of the people have yet to calm down. Perhaps this grand event can gradually make them forget about the calamity caused by the Sun Luo clan. Luo waved his hand to silence the crowd. Then he continued. The requirement for the tomb guardians of the 4 divine void pavilions is that their skeletal age must be lower than 200,000 years. Therefore, those whose skeletal age is above 200,000 years, please step back. The rest of you will step forward. What? 200,000 years? In the previous tomb competition, the skeletal age limit was still 220,000 years. This time, it has been reduced again. A late human profound realm cultivator of the Luo clan immediately showed a distressed expression. His skeletal age had already exceeded 210,000 years. It seemed like he was not fated to participate in this tomb competition. Just the skeletal age alone would eliminate countless people. Among the hundreds of second-step cultivators, 90% of them immediately retreated to the back of the hall. Only 41 people took a step forward. Naturally, Ning Fan was also among the 41 people. If his skeletal age were to be revealed, he would probably be the lowest in this hall. Wang Meng was still behind Ning Fan. His skeletal age was also less than 200,000 years. What's your skeletal age? Ning Fan asked with a slight frown. Master, 190,000. Wang Meng endured the pain on his body and answered with a smile. Now that Ning Fan was his master, he naturally did not dare to show any dissatisfaction towards him. 190,000 years old? Why does he have the appearance of an old man? Ning Fan's eyes revealed a strange expression. Generally speaking, a peak ghost profound realm expert, who was 190,000 years old, would have the appearance of a young man. It was extremely rare to see an old man with strong muscles like Wang Meng. This lowly one's aptitude wasn't very good in the past. When I was in the gold core realm, I almost died of old age. That's why I look like this. But after that, this lowly one awakened the 8 extremities combat physique in despair. My aptitude increased tremendously, and that was how I broke through to the nascent soul realm. I see. Ning Fan nodded and no longer paid attention to Wang Meng. Compared to Wang Meng, he was naturally more concerned about which 8 out of the 41 people would become the tomb guards. Although Luo Xiao had given him a guarantee, he had yet to reach the first transformation. The selection of the candidates came too quickly and too hastily. Including Miss Xian, there are only 42 people. It's a little less than expected. Luo shook his head and continued. Then, according to the rules of my Luo clan, cultivators who have reached the first transformation of War God, show your battle intent and take a step forward. As soon as Luo Shi's words fell, only 16 of the 41 people took a step forward. Among these 16 people, there were Luo Xiao, Wang Meng, the life immortals of Luo clan, and the guest elders of the second peak, but none of them were Duzhen. Just the bone age alone was enough to eliminate countless Duzhen. Each of them had more than 9 battle flames hovering around them. After summoning the battle flames, their eyes were filled with battle intent. Ning Fan wasn't among the 16 people. Luo Xiao showed a hint of worry and looked at the clan master Luo Shi. Before this, the clan master had promised him that Ning Fan would be one of the tomb guards. But now Ning Fan was eliminated in advance, which didn't match the promise. Luo Xian knitted her brows and couldn't help but look at Ning Fan's direction. She suddenly had a trace of regret in her heart. It seemed like Ning Fan didn't get the qualification to be the tomb guard. Ning Fan's eyes slightly focused, but he didn't say anything. Luo Shi's eyes swept across the 16 people in front of him. He nodded his head and asked Luo Xian who was beside him. 16 people. That's quite a lot this time. Then, I would like to invite Miss Xian to choose 6 people from these 16 people. Together with Miss Xian, we will occupy the 7 spots. As for the last spot, I have an idea. I want to leave it for those cultivators who haven't cultivated to the first transformation, but have reached the required bone age. What do you think about this suggestion, Miss Xian? Leave 1 spot for those cultivators who haven't cultivated to the first transformation? Luo Xian was stunned. She didn't know why, But when she heard this, she felt a trace of relief. Without any hesitation, Luo Xian immediately nodded and said, "All right. Let's do as the clan master said. We will give those who haven't cultivated to the first transformation a spot. It's a chance." That's good. If that's the case, let's choose the 6 people who have cultivated to the first transformation first. Luo Shi nodded his head and pointed his finger. A door of light immediately appeared in the secret hall. It led to a small kiliacosm and announced the rules of the competition. 16 people would compete for 6 spots. The method to determine the spots was naturally to fight and compete based on their strength. The 16 cultivators followed Luo Shi and Luo Xian into the small kiliacosm. 2 hours later, the spots were determined based on their strength. The 6 cultivators who won the spots were all at the Ghost Profound Realm. Luo Xiao was naturally one of the 6 people. Although Wang Meng was severely injured, he still gritted his teeth and got a spot. In this way, including Luo Xian, 7 out of the 8 spots of the Luo clan had been determined. Only the last spot would be given to Ning Fan and the other 25 people. At this moment, Ning Fan was convinced that Luo Shi was deliberately giving him a chance to express his goodwill by giving him the spot to be a grave guardian. Among the 25 people, the one with the highest cultivation base was just a late Ghost Profound Realm. Everyone looked at Ning Fan with a trace of fear and dread. If the last spot was still determined based on strength, no one would be able to win against Ning Fan. Wang Meng's miserable ending was a good example. Ning Fan, who was unknown in the Luo clan in the past, suddenly established his prestige. As soon as he established his prestige, many cultivators looked at him with chills. It seems like we have no hope of getting the last spot. A late Ghost Profound Realm cultivator of the Luo clan sighed helplessly. The same sigh also came from the mouths of the other cultivators. Everyone, don't be discouraged. It's not impossible for all of you to get the last spot. Luo Shi smiled faintly. After that, his eyes suddenly turned sharp. All of a sudden, an unimaginable force of Dao sense came out from his mouth and turned into a word that was like the might of the heavens. Disperse. The word disperse carried a great divine ability. As soon as it was uttered, an indescribable force of the great Tao swept across from the center of the secret hall. All the cultivators within a radius of 10 zhang were forced to retreat. The area within a radius of 10 zhang seemed to have turned into a vacuum zone. Even Ning Fan, Du Zhen and the 5 Shikong cultivators of the Luo clan couldn't get close to this place without permission. They couldn't go against Luo Shi's will of Dao sense. This was a technique that only cultivators of the mid-thought shattering stage could use. As for Luo Shi, he had already grasped the essence of the ability. He wasn't far from breaking through to the mid-thought fragmentation realm. Luo Shi patted his storage pouch again. Immediately, a ray of starlight flew out from the pouch and fell into the center of the secret hall, turning into a giant starlight. Among the 25 of you, the one who can break this stone will get the last spot of the tomb keeper. As soon as Luo Shi's words were uttered, everyone present gasped. This was because the giant stone that fell into the center of the secret hall was actually a huge piece of immemorial star iron. With the eyesight of the cultivators present, they could tell that it was 6-star divine iron, which could be used to make the immemorial divine weapons used by the Duzhen cultivators. The advantage of the immemorial star iron was that it could be used to make magical weapons that could be upgraded. Although this stone had yet to be refined into a magical weapon, it was so hard that even an early Duzhen cultivator might not be able to break it with a single strike. Let me try. After all, it's just a piece of immemorial star iron. It won't be as scary as a living person. Even if I fail, it doesn't matter. Among the 25 people, a mid-Ghost Profound Realm cultivator immediately stepped forward. That person looked at Ning Fan with extreme fear. Then he gritted his teeth and took a step forward. With a wave of his hand, he summoned his Dao weapon. Without saying a word, he struck the giant stone with his hammer. His Dao weapon was a heavenly flame silver hammer. When he swung it, a sonic boom resounded throughout the secret hall. This hammer strike seemed to have exerted all of his strength in his life. However, when it hit the giant stone, it only caused some ripples on the surface of the giant stone. It did not cause any damage to the giant stone at all. At the next moment, the star force suddenly surged from the giant stone. The direction of the star force actually went against the law of the great Tao. Moreover, a rebounding force that was a few times stronger than the previous hammer strike came from the giant stone. It turned into a ray of sharp light and immediately attacked that person. That person's silver hammer Tao weapon was instantly smashed into pieces by the rebounding force. As for his body, it flew high into the sky like a fallen leaf. Then it fell miserably on the ground. He had already fainted due to his severe injuries. This is immemorial star-defying. All of a sudden, all the cultivators in the secret hall revealed a look of shock. There were also many people whose eyes were filled with excitement. The immemorial star-defying was an extremely rare type of immemorial star iron. The direction of the star force of this iron went against the great Tao. Ordinary immemorial divine weapons couldn't be forged with this star-defying. Before this iron was forged into a treasure, no one could touch it or attack it. Otherwise, they would suffer a painful counterattack from the star-defying power it contained. There was only one type of divine weapon magic treasure that could be forged with this star-defying. It was a type of devil Tao armor called star-defying devil armor. Not only did it have an astonishing defense, but it also had the ability to counterattack. The grade of this piece of immemorial star-defying star iron was 6 stars. The 6 stars divine iron was a common material used by cultivators of Duzhen for refining treasures. They used 7 stars divine iron instead of 6 stars divine iron. However, if it was a 6 stars defying star iron, even cultivators of Duzhen would fight for it. Unfortunately, this iron was usually priceless. It was extremely difficult to find a piece of it, let alone such a huge piece. Immemorial star-defying. It's actually the immemorial star-defying. Who else other than cultivators of Duzhen would dare to attack this piece of iron? That mid-ghost profound realm cultivator was only seriously injured by the counterattack. If it's us, Duzhen, attacking this piece of iron, the counterattack force would definitely increase along with our attacks. At that time, it wouldn't be as simple as getting injured. If we're not careful, we might even lose our lives. Some of the Duzhen Luo clan's cultivators gradually retracted their fiery eyes. When they looked at the huge rock again, they began to shake their heads. The counterattack force of this star-defying star is too terrifying. It's really unwise to risk our lives to destroy this piece of iron just for the position of Tombkeeper. Among the 25 cultivators who were waiting to be chosen, there were still 23 of them, excluding the mid-ghost profound realm cultivator, who had fallen to the ground, and Ning Fan. After these 23 people saw the miserable state of the previous cultivator, none of them had the courage to attack the huge rock anymore. Each of them wanted to fight for the last position of Tombkeeper, but they were afraid of the counterattack force of the huge rock. Only Ning Fan looked at the huge immemorial star-defying rock solemnly, without any intention of retreating. With my current strength, it won't be difficult for me to destroy this rock with a full blow. However, after that blow, I will definitely suffer a counterattack that is a few times stronger than before. With the counterattack force, it won't be enough to kill me, but it's inevitable for me to be seriously injured. Ning Fan shifted his gaze and looked at Luo Shi. In Luo Shi's eyes, Ning Fan saw a hint of expectation. This immemorial star-defying star is Luo Shi's test for me. Luo Shi doesn't mind showing his goodwill to me and giving me the position of Tombkeeper of his clan, but the premise is that I have to show the corresponding strength. No, it's not just strength. What Luo Shi wants to test is how decisive I will be when facing this immemorial star-defying star. Should I fight or hide? Should I be brave or cowardly? Ning Fan took a deep breath and took a step forward. In order to get the position of Tombkeeper of Luo clan, he had already come this far. It was impossible for him to retreat, because he was afraid of getting injured. By the way, there's one thing that this old man forgot to say. The moment Ning Fan took a step forward, Luo Shi suddenly spoke again. This time, there's an additional rule compared to the previous times. Due to the cancellation of the bell sacrifice, the cultivator who gets first place in this competition won't get the primordial spirit wine as a reward, but will get a special reward. This person could make a request to the Godly Void Pavilion to the best of their abilities. The Godly Void Pavilion will do its best to satisfy this person's request. Any request. I wonder if little friend has any wish that needs to be fulfilled by the 4 pavilions? If there is, then in order to fulfill your wish, you will have a reason to not retreat. You will certainly be determined to get this position. And this immemorial star-defying star will no longer be scary. Luo Shi's last sentence was obviously meant for Ning Fan alone. Moreover, there was a deeper meaning behind his words. His original intention was to enlighten Ning Fan in front of this immemorial star-defying star. To tell Ning Fan the essence of the war god art. To help Ning Fan experience the state of mind of fighting with one's back against the river. Having no choice but to fight in front of this immemorial star-defying star. However, what Luo Shi did not expect was that his last sentence made Ning Fan think of something else. Ning Fan could naturally hear that Luo Shi's words were filled with the intention of enlightening him. However, what he was more concerned about was the words that Luo Shi had said before. At this moment, Ning Fan's eyes suddenly turned cold, and his heart was hit by 1,000 waves. The first place of the tomb competition can make a request to the Godly Void Pavilion. I can make any request. Even if I remove Auxi's name from the sacrificial list of the Godly Void Pavilion. At this moment, Ning Fan's desire to obtain the position of Tomb Keeper was not because of the other half of Ancient Chaos inheritance, but because of a request. If the first place of the tomb competition had this right, then to him, this tomb competition was no longer dispensable, and he must win. This position was something that he must fight for, and he must not give it to anyone. As soon as this feeling appeared, the battle flame in Ning Fan's body suddenly surged and rushed out of his body. In a split second, there were 6 traces of battle flames hovering around him, and his eyes were filled with battle intent. 6 traces of battle flames. This child has only joined the Luo clan for less than 10 months. How could he cultivate 6 traces of battle flames? At this moment, countless people in the secret hall were shocked by Ning Fan's 6 traces of battle flames. Even Luo Shi's face that was always calm and tranquil suddenly showed a shocked expression. Chapter 8:16. In this place, other than Meng Xiu who had used the Warflame's compass to measure the number of Ning Fan's Warflames, no one else knew about the fact that Ning Fan possessed 6 traces of Warflames. Even Luo Shi, Luo Xiao, and the 5 Shikong were shocked. They only knew that Ning Fan had condensed the first flame of war. However, they did not know that he already had 6. As for the rest of the people, they did not even know that Ning Fan had cultivated the flames of war. Thus, they were even more shocked than before. 6 battle flames wasn't something to be surprised about. In the Luo clan, there were many cultivators who had cultivated 6 battle flames before even reaching the first transformation. What surprised everyone was that Ning Fan had only spent less than 10 months to form 6 traces of war flames. This cultivation speed was even faster than that of the Luo clan's battle monarch. This could only mean one thing. Even if Ning Fan was not a cultivator with a combat body, his aptitude in cultivating battle techniques had already surpassed everyone in the Luo clan. 6th brother, didn't you say that this kid's aptitude was ordinary and mediocre? What a load of nonsense. If this person was ordinary, then wouldn't we be worse than dogs? Immediately find another person, and make him cultivate 6 battle flames in 10 months for this daddy to see. If you can find one, I will change my surname to yours. A hot-tempered old man in a red robe immediately shouted at the 6th patriarch. This person was the 2nd patriarch of the Luo clan. He cultivated in fire elemental techniques, and had always been straightforward. 2nd brother, you have the same surname as 6th brother. Our surname is Luo. An old man in a green robe, who looked like a child, chuckled and said. As soon as he finished speaking, he straightened his face and reprimanded the 6th forefather. Old 6th, it's not that I want to criticize you, but your judgment is really not as good as Luo Zhao's. He was none other than the 4th patriarch of the Luo clan. I've really misjudged. At this moment, the 6th patriarch of the Luo clan was so ashamed that he could not show his face. In the face of the rebuke from the other Shikong, he could only smile bitterly and not offer any explanation. On the day when Ning Fan came to the extreme cold palace, he was the one who personally taught him battle arts and cultivation methods. However, he didn't notice that Ning Fan had such a high aptitude in cultivation. He didn't even look Ning Fan in the eye. If he had seen the slightest advantage in Ning Fan that day, he wouldn't have allowed someone like Ning Fan to join the Luo clan for 10 months before his name was revealed. Good lad, good eyesight. Stronger than you, sixth forefather. To be able to find such a person for my Luo family as a foreign elder, I will give you credit. Here, this is your father's reward for you. Take it. With this, you will most likely be able to break through the bottleneck of the late ghost profound realm. The second patriarch snorted coldly and ignored the sixth patriarch. Instead, he took out a jade box and handed it to Luo Xiao with a smile on his face. Although Luo Xiao had a certain status in the Luo family, he had never received any rewards from the 5 Shikong patriarchs. Now that he had suddenly received a reward from the second patriarch, he was immediately overwhelmed by the favor. When he opened the jade box once more, shock immediately appeared in his eyes, and he exclaimed in agitation. Tao Essence. It was the marrow of the Tao. With this item, I will definitely be able to further improve my physical strength, and use this opportunity to break through to the late stage of the ghost profound realm. Excited my ass. It's just a diluted drop. The undiluted one isn't for you. I'm afraid it's going to be left for this person. The second patriarch patted Luo Xiao's shoulder to encourage him. His eyes, however, were looking at Ning Fan with a hint of excitement. The Luo family had been looking for a foreign elder for countless years. What they wanted to find was a person with peerless combat talent like him. Only such a person would have a chance to cultivate the fourth transformation of his combat arts. Only such a person would have a chance to save the War King Luo Ho. Finally they found him. Not only the 5 Shikong patriarchs were excited, but all the cultivators of the Luo family were also extremely excited. The way they looked at Ning Fan was as if they were looking at their savior who they had been waiting for countless years. Even the 4 people who recommended Wang Meng to Du Zhen no longer had any dissatisfaction towards Ning Fan. One of them even quietly went to Wang Meng's side, patted his shoulder and said with a smile, "Accept your fate. Even though you are a combat body cultivator, this person's combat talent is incomparable to yours. From today onwards, I'm afraid everyone in the War King Luo family will stand on his side." Accept my fate, huh? How can I not accept my fate? Wang Meng let out a hollow laugh and quietly moved away, keeping a distance from the person who recommended him. This person's resolute attitude of abandoning him had dissatisfied him. However, he was no longer the person whom the Luo family valued the most now. He no longer had the arrogant and domineering aura he used to have. From today onwards, the person whom the Luo family valued the most would undoubtedly be his master, Ning Fan. There's no need to think about it anymore. The reason why the head of the Luo family suppressed the entire city and sided with Ning Fan must be because he saw that Ning Fan has an exceptional combat talent and decided to abandon me. Wang Meng let out a long sigh. Luo Xian hid her soft hands in her sleeves, tightly holding the piece of white cloth. Ning Fan's combat talent had far exceeded her expectation. Another slightly absurd thought quietly grew in her mind. Perhaps that person is also him. Since he can surpass the War King in terms of combat talent, it's not impossible for him to surpass Wang Gu in terms of speed. Perhaps it's really him. Almost all the cultivators in the secret hall were moved by Ning Fan's display of the 6 war flames. However, Ning Fan completely ignored all of them. At this moment, his eyes were flashing with the light of the flames of war. His body was surrounded by the 6 war flames. His eyes were fixed on the star-defying boulder in front of him. At this moment, there was only one thought in his mind. He had to smash this boulder no matter what. No matter what, he had to win the quota. No matter what, he had to get the first place in the tomb competition. No matter what, he had to return the little demoness who was the sacrificial offering to freedom. At this moment, there was no longer any hesitation or fear in his heart. If he attacked the immemorial star-defying boulder, he would definitely be severely injured by the backlash. This scene was like a mortal using his palm to slap the edge of a blade. No matter how brave a person was, There would always be a trace of hesitation and fear in his heart. However, at this moment, Ning Fan was the mortal who placed his palm on the edge of the blade without any fear in his heart. Fearlessness wasn't because he was brave. The true battle intent wasn't because he was thirsty for battle, but because of a belief to never retreat from 100 battles and never be afraid of death. Just like what Luoshi had taught him, the true essence of the war god art was to never retreat as long as there was a thought in his heart. As long as I smash this star-defying boulder, I will become the tomb guardian of the Luo family. Ning Fan suddenly took a step forward. The 6 traces of war flames that were revolving around his body suddenly shone brightly. After a flash, they flew back into his body at the same time. His eyes were filled with battle intent. His ink-black hair suddenly turned blood red and began to grow longer. His thin and weak body suddenly grew taller, and he became tall and strong. His white robe was flowing with specks of blood-red light, as if it had turned into a blood-red robe. All of these were changes that could only be triggered by a cultivator who had truly cultivated the first transformation. He had yet to cultivate the first transformation. However, at this moment he had comprehended the essence of the first transformation through Luoshi's words and the thought in his heart. It was the battle intent of I can't retreat, I can only fight. His physical body was originally at the 5th heavenly layer of the Sichen realm. The physical body of an ancient devil at the 5th heavenly layer of the Sichen realm was comparable to a peak 5th severance immortal body cultivator. At this moment, Ning Fan used the 6 traces of war flames in his body to display the blood body transformation of the first transformation. His ancient devil cultivation base instantly rose to the peak of the 6th heavenly layer of the Sichen realm. As for the level of his physical body, it was comparable to a cultivator with a 7th severance immortal body transformation. The 7th severance immortal body transformation was equivalent to the late ghost profound realm. Break for me. Ning Fan suddenly raised his fist and threw a punch at the immemorial star-defying boulder fearlessly. A wave of ferocious aura force immediately turned into a violent wind and spread out from his body. His blood-red robe fluttered in the violent wind. His red hair danced wildly in the wind. When his punch landed, it immediately caused a loud explosion. Cracks even appeared on the surface of the star-defying boulder. However, it still did not shatter. A repulsive force that was a few times stronger than his punch immediately bounced back to Ning Fan, hitting his chest and abdomen and his entire body. Ning Fan was forced to take 10 steps back continuously. Each step he took left a bloody footprint that was 1 inch deep on the incomparably hard floor of the secret hall. At this moment, Ning Fan only had one feeling. His body was pierced by countless long needles. It was extremely painful. His entire body had been severely injured by the repulsive force. His body was riddled with holes and blood was flowing out from his wounds. He actually managed to land a punch on the immemorial star-defying boulder. Moreover, he didn't show any fear or hesitation in that punch. In the secret hall, countless cultivators were shocked by Ning Fan's punch. The 5 Shikong cultivators of the Luo clan acted in unison. All of them wanted to rush to Ning Fan's side and help him heal his injuries. Their eyes were filled with unconcealable nervousness. It was as if Ning Fan's injuries were more serious than their own. Just as the 5 of them took a step forward, a vast Dao sense immediately pressed down on them, stopping them from moving forward. Wait. Let him make his own decision. Luoshi's voice carried an irrefutable tone and entered the 5 of their ears. Their expressions changed. However, they stared at Ning Fan deeply. In the end, they did not help him. This star-defying boulder could only be shattered by him. It was because Ning Fan had already used up all of his battle intent to shatter the star-defying boulder. If anyone were to help him, his battle intent would not be able to be vented. Then it would collapse and the consequences would be unimaginable. At this moment, Ning Fan could not hear any sound. The only thing he could hear was the sound of blood gushing out from his ears. He was injured by the immemorial star-defying boulder. His injuries were definitely not light. However, the battle intent in his eyes did not waver at all. The entire Purple Silk City was filled with screams of terror. In the sky, Luo Shi had just left the secret hall with the people in the secret hall. When he saw that the collapse was still expanding, he immediately smiled bitterly and said, "This young man's punch actually triggered the Tao law. This joke seems to have gone too far. Initially, I just wanted this young man to use the star-defying boulder to practice. I never thought that he would destroy the entire Purple Silk City with a single punch." While smiling bitterly, Luo Shi instantly spread out his Tao sense. In the next moment, all the living beings in the entire Purple Silk City were teleported to the sky by his will. Amidst the rumbling of heaven and earth, a gust of wind suddenly rose under the smoke and dust that covered the sky. The center of the gust was Ningfan, who was standing on the ruins. At this moment, there was only a pile of star-defying boulder in front of him and below his feet. He had already become a bloody man. The battle intent in his body had also faded along with the color of blood. An unprecedented feeling of weakness, accompanied by pain, immediately surged into his heart. However, Ningfan's expression was still as calm as still water. He just raised his palm and clenched it tightly. The corner of his mouth curled into a satisfied smile. "The quota has been obtained. However, I'm afraid it's very difficult to replicate this punch again." Countless gazes fell from the sky and landed on Ningfan and the ruins of the Purple Silk City. Their eyes were filled with shock and respect. Even old monster Duzhen felt a chill down his spine when he looked at Ningfan. Ningfan's last punch had definitely touched the Tao law of war. Otherwise, that punch wouldn't have been able to trigger the flames of war in others' bodies and unleash such terrifying power. Oh my God! Is this the strength of my master? If he had used such a punch when we were fighting, I'm afraid I would have already turned into ashes. Wang Meng involuntarily shuddered. He didn't realize that after being shocked by Ningfan, he called Ningfan master more and more smoothly. Unknowingly, his respect for Ningfan as his master had increased, and he no longer felt repulsed by it. The 5 Shikong disciples of the Luo clan looked at Luo Shi with resentment. Their expressions were both helpless and relieved. Initially, they were worried that Ningfan might be devoured by the immemorial star-defying and his life would be in danger. Now it seemed like they had worried too much. However, the Purple Silk City that the Luo clan relied on to live in would need to be rebuilt. For 3 whole days, Ningfan went into seclusion to heal his injuries on the first peak of the Broken Halberd Mountain. With the many supreme healing treasures given by the Luo clan, his injuries were recovering at an extremely fast speed. With Luo Shi's sense fragmentation realm, rebuilding the Purple Silk City was just a matter of a blink of an eye. With just a thought, countless pavilions, terraces and buildings were immediately built on the ruins, and the ruins disappeared without a trace. 3 days later, Ningfan's injuries had stabilized. He didn't continue to heal his injuries. He walked out of his cave residence and flew towards the Purple Silk City. It was Luo Shi who wanted to see him. He said that he wanted to give him the Tombkeeper's token and bring him to the Dao Marrow secret realm of the Luo clan to heal his injuries. The Dao Marrow secret realm was the most forbidden place in the Luo clan. Legend has it that the Dao Marrow inside had the mysterious ability to heal and improve a cultivator's physical body. Walking in the newly built Purple Silk City, each of the cultivators of the Luo clan looked at Ningfan with fear in their eyes. There was no other reason other than Ningfan's city-destroying punch that triggered the Tao law. It was really too terrifying. Only Ningfan knew that it was extremely difficult to replicate the punch he used that day, and it was also extremely difficult to use it again, on that day. Ningfan's battle intent was aroused by Luo Shi's words. He bombarded the star-defying boulder with his fists without any fear of death. When his fists collided with the boulder, he actually touched the Tao law of war a little. It was an indescribable feeling that couldn't be explained clearly. He had only touched the edge of the Tao law. But if he wanted to control it and use it again, there was nothing he could do. It was because Ningfan's cultivation base was still not strong enough to use the power of the Tao law. That punch was just an accident. It was like a boulder falling into the deep sea and stirring up thousands of waves. Recalling the state of mind he had that day, Ningfan's lips curled into a smile. I didn't expect that after cultivating for so many years, the passion in my heart would still be easily aroused by some people and things. However, this is who I am. If I don't have these, I will be a butterfly without wings and will no longer be my original appearance. I have already obtained the quota of the tomb keeper. If I get the token, I will be qualified to enter the bottom level of the divine tomb to search for the inheritance of ancient chaos. There are still 10 years before the tomb competition. I must get the first place in the tomb competition 10 years later. If I get the first place, I will ask for Xi's identity as a sacrificial offering, so that she can still live peacefully in Eastern Heaven. This is the best outcome. Ningfan walked all the way to Luo Shi's place of seclusion, Guardian Stone Palace. Coincidentally, an elderly man in red robes walked out of the Guardian Stone Palace. His cultivation base was at the mid-shedding void realm. As soon as he saw Ningfan's arrival, the elderly man stopped walking and immediately smiled. He cupped his fists at Ningfan. Ningfan immediately approached the elderly man and cupped his fists. Guest Ningfan greets the second ancestor of the Luo clan. Little friend, you don't have to be so courteous. The clan master has been waiting for you for a long time. You should go in quickly. By the way, how are your injuries? Did you hurt your foundation? Do you need the help of cauldrons to heal your injuries? As far as I know, there are a few beautiful and charming cauldrons in the Chun clan of the Eastern Ocean. TSK. Those are the cauldrons of truth. Each of them has delicate skin and flesh. If you pinch them, water will drip out of them. If little friend needs them, I can help you and snatch those cauldrons from the Chun clan to help you heal your injuries. That feeling. As soon as he finished speaking, the second ancestor of the Luo clan looked at Ningfan with an expression that said, "You know what I mean. We are men after all. You know what I mean." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.